historic flight test. If we weren't in microgravity, we would also be on the edge of our seats.
Here on the International Space Station, all of us are honored to have the chance to wish our fellow explorers Godspeed. Throughout human history, the moon has sparked our imagination, curiosity, and wonder. With our return to the moon, we're not only going to be learning about its history, the history of our solar system and of our planet, but also about our place in the cosmos.
We are so proud of the Artemis team and so excited for what you will see and learn on behalf of all of humanity during your trip around the moon. As we push the boundaries of exploration and expand our knowledge with scientific discovery, we advance our collective civilization together as one.
Test flights are crucial to the mission of exploration. We all learn in test flight schools that the more challenging the missions are, the more incremental the tests should be. This Artemis II mission is one more increment on the way to further exploration.
Thank you to the crew, our friends, for your dedication. And from the entire Expedition 74 crew, thank you to all of the teams that had a hand in getting the Artemis II mission to where it is today.
Back to you, Megan, as the countdown continues.
Oh, I love that so much. I just love seeing them there. And again, you have to remember the International Space Station is an orbiting lab. We learn so much there, and we're going to learn so much more from Artemis II, because this isn't just a test flight. It's an opportunity to learn more about the moon, deep space, and how humans can live and work so far from home. So here are some of the science objectives that NASA hopes to accomplish with Artemis II.
Artemis II is our return of humans to the moon, flying around the moon on board Orion. But along with that, we're doing a lot of great science.
One of the exciting things about the Artemis missions to the moon is that science is actually a fundamental pillar of why we explore, why we're going, what we're doing in Artemis.
I think it's incredibly exciting that not only are we testing the vehicle, but we're testing science on board. Science where the astronauts are conducting experiments, science riding along with the astronauts. We have astronauts looking outside the window and really observing the lunar surface.
It will help us understand the deep space environment. It will help us understand how that environment affects our astronauts, our systems, and life in general.
So deep space is a challenge for us because you have to leave Earth's protective magnetic field. Here in low Earth orbit, the crew members are protected from some of the harmful radiation. Going to the moon, they'll no longer be protected, so they'll have a higher radiation exposure.
Much like Artemis 1, we have so many radiation sensors and detectors that are inside the capsule so that we can fully understand and appreciate the radiation environment for protecting our astronauts. In my hand here, I'm holding a tissue chip model. This is the exact design that's going to be flying alongside the astronauts. We'll be collecting samples from each of the crew members, and we can make these organ chips out of the astronauts themselves. So every crew member will have their own avatar on board, and then upon return, we can evaluate that deep space radiation environment and what that compares to the astronaut themselves. Not only are they going to help change the course of medicine for the astronauts, but revolutionizing that on Earth as well.
We're looking at sleep, we're looking at team dynamics, we're looking at how you interact with the environment. We're also looking at the immune system, so what are the biomarkers? We're using saliva as a method to study hormones and different things in your body that may change during a mission like this. And then finally, how do we function after microgravity, being close to the moon, then returning to Earth.
Which will ultimately help us achieve our goal of getting humans to Mars.
And then on top of that, we have an opportunity to look at the moon from deep space on the far side for the first time in over 50 years.
Having human eyeballs and brains back around the moon is going to unlock a new generation of lunar science discovery. The human eyeball is capable of taking in so much data in just a split second. They'll be able to tackle impact history, volcanic history. They'll be able to look at how the albedo, or kind of the shade and hue of the moon and the color of the moon, can tell us something about how that terrain evolved over time. We're integrating science in ways that have never been integrated into human exploration before. We have a front room mission control flight controller position called the Science Officer. We have a brand new science back room where it's basically our brain trust of lunar scientists and geologists supporting the crews of the future. And Artemis II will allow us to really test how this works so that future missions are really set up for success.
We'll also be deploying some CubeSats. They're small shoebox-sized spacecraft of their own. They're each provided by another country, one of our partners. As they conduct their research, they'll complement what we are doing at the moon with Orion.
It is so incredibly exciting to be a part of this mission.
And it has been, really one of the privileges of a lifetime.
I can see the work I'm doing benefit crew members right now and benefit the crew members in the future. So it's incredibly exciting and it's very rewarding.
As this rocket launches humanity off of the Earth, we'll be setting the stage through our science to prepare humanity to leave Earth and explore the solar system.
And what we learn during this and future Artemis missions to the moon will eventually get us to Mars. Here's Jasmine Hopkins again, now with Nikki Fox, Associate Administrator of NASA's Science Mission Directorate.
Thanks so much, Megan. Yes, we're back on the balcony now, joined by Dr. Nikki Fox. Nikki, in this nearly 10-day mission, we are covering a lot of science, from CubeSats to tissue chips. What are you most looking forward to learning?
Oh my goodness. I think for me, the most exciting thing is actually being able to interact with the crew while they are flying, doing this historic journey on the far side of the moon. They are going to be seeing pieces of the moon that no human eyes have seen before, which is really spectacular. It's going to be an interesting trajectory. Some of it is in darkness. Then at the terminator, so in darkness, they'll be able to look for like impact flashes and things when micrometeorites pummel that poor moon. And then at the terminator, they can see shadows and interesting things, which kind of gives you depth perception. And then, of course, in the sunlit, picking out everyone's favorite craters. Also, if we launch today or tomorrow, they will see a total solar eclipse from the Orion capsule. How cool is that?
That is very cool. We are thrilled for this Artemis II crew to be able to see the moon in a way that we've never seen before. What is so unique about that far side? Why are we going there?
I mean, honestly, it's just, it is unique. It's very different to the near side of the moon. The actual sort of terrain, the morphology, it's very, very different. And so it will be very exciting to see that as we're going past that.
Absolutely. And Nikki, we are performing a lot of science at the moon this year, actually, not just Artemis II. Can you speak to the commercial lunar landers we're planning to send?
Yes, we are very, very proud of our commercial partners as they take our payloads for us to the lunar surface. And very excited. Next one up is Blue Origin's Blue Moon Mark 1 going. It's got some science on it. It's got the scalps that went on the Blue Ghost. So we'll be able to sort of look at that plume as it's coming down onto the lunar surface, and then also the laser retroreflector that will be the array that's up there too. So even on that first test flight, packing it with science as much as we can.
Wow, Nikki, so much science. It's hard to keep track of everything. But the unique thing about Artemis II is we're sending crew. Can you speak to the importance of the human element of science?
Absolutely. I mean, we can program, like we do with our beautiful rovers on Mars, we can program them to do certain things, and it's what we think we need them to do. When you have an astronaut up there, they can make that sort of like really unique split-second decision. The thing I'm most looking forward to is when they think they're going to be looking here, is hearing one of them say, "Oh my goodness, look over there." And I think that's just incredible about how we do that. Also, flying our tissue chips with the astronauts, our Avatar experiment. Here we go, Avatar.
Oh, wow, look at that.
And that's got the tissue chips samples that matched to the crew. Mm-hmm. So we'll be able to monitor the effects of microgravity and radiation on that human tissue as we prepare for more and more missions to the moon for longer and longer durations, right, and then off to Mars.
Wow, Nikki, so much science ahead of us. But first, we have to launch. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much. Go Artemis.
Oh, of course, go Artemis. And with that, let's turn it back over to the countdown with NASA's Megan Cruz.
Nikki is so fun. She has so much energy and so much passion about the science. And again, yeah, it's just so important to remember that so much science is happening with this mission. It's not just to test out the hardware and the life support systems.
Yeah, you saw the science video, and then we talked to Nikki. Man, there's so much going on, right? We talked a little bit about the lunar observations that we're going to do. And then, she talked about, made a really great point about, the human eye can pick things out that a camera or a robot can't necessarily pick out. And so that's why we're sending humans. But also, we're not just doing the lunar observations. The Avatar, that's a really cool experiment. They took blood samples from the crew, and then they used those stem cells to make bone marrow and create those little Avatar chips, which is
so impressive.
Feels like scientific, sci-fi movie stuff.
Yeah.
But, we're going to look at radiation. We're going to look at all sorts of different scientific experiments. You know, we got the little CubeSats. We're going to go look at space weather. Lots going on.
Yeah, even collecting some of the astronauts' saliva, you can learn a lot about the body through the saliva. So just really a lot in a small amount of time in a small capsule.
Yeah, you know, it's scientific discovery. That's why we go back to the moon.
Yeah. And so, again, her energy just so, oh my God, I can't find the word. So
wonderful.
Awesome. Yeah. I don't know why I couldn't find the word. So anyway, yeah, just really, again, thank you, Dr. Nikki Fox and Jasmine. And so, Nicole, what about answering more questions?
Let's do it.
Okay, great. First one, what was the word I was trying to get at? No, I'm kidding. Let's have the first question up on the screen now. I know we got him. I see him being asked.
And CDR OTC Ryan Earth 1.
Go.
For your awareness, scrubber cycling is about to be restarted.
Integrity copies.
All right, let's try that again. Can we get the next social question, please? What are the G-forces experienced by the Artemis astronauts during launch and reentry?
Ooh, you know, these are actually pretty similar to, you know, a Dragon launch or a shuttle launch. You know, we have to accelerate to get out of the Earth's atmosphere, and then, you know, we talked about the secondary burns that they will do to get away from Earth. But, you know, for me personally, it kind of felt like we got slingshotted off the Earth is how I like to describe it. So, you know, you get set back in your seat and the G forces are into your chest.
CDR OTC Runner Earth 1.
Go ahead.
When leak check complete, the cabin is going to be vented to flight pressure momentarily.
Integrity copies.
That's fantastic news.
Yeah.
Again, so the spacecraft is holding pressure as expected, and so now they will depressurize it, which will take about 6 to 8 minutes. Exciting.
Yes. Yeah.
Go ahead, Nicole.
Like we talked about, continuing to march towards the launch. Yeah, so the G-forces are into your chest, and it's kind of a slow build, and you can get all the way up to 4.5 Gs into the chest during the launch, and often they have to back off on the thrust a little bit so that you don't get too high in the G-forces, and especially as we go through kind of max Q or that max aerodynamic force, so as they get through the thicker parts of the atmosphere. And then very similar G-forces on the way home, so slow, steady build up to about 4.5 Gs as the rocket actually decelerates. You know, you heard in one of the packages, when they come back, they're going to be going 7 miles a second.
Gosh, that's
incredible.
incredible.
So you have to slow down somehow, and to do that, you have to actually, you know, when you brake in a car, you feel those G-forces, and so for the astronauts, it'll just be, again, into the chest based on the orientation.
Great. Thank you so much for that answer, Nicole, and for that question. We're going to continue to try to take as many as possible. Again, you know how to send them to us at NASA Artemis. But now we again have another question for you, for our audience. We want to know, what part of Artemis 2 are you most excited for? Liftoff, Earth views from Orion, lunar flyby, or splashdown? Tell us again on NASA's Instagram or Twitch accounts, and we'll share your answers a little later in the broadcast.
That's a tough one. I don't know what my answer would be.
I know. I don't know either. I'm excited for it all, but that's a cop-out. All right, now let's head back over to Banana Creek. Again, the crowds there, really excited. People coming from all over the country, from around the world. Why don't we get another check with Leah Martin to see who she's caught up with now?
Well, Megan, we were a little while ago talking to some students from around the globe. Today, we're actually talking to some local students who are from right here, locally, Merritt Island in Titusville. We talk a lot about the Artemis generation and about the students who are going to become the next generation of dreamers, of engineers, of scientists and technologists. And I'm actually standing with a group of those students here today. Our local high school has actually implemented a really neat new program in the spirit of being able to create these pipelines for employment and engagement. Can you tell me a little bit about what Merritt Island High School is doing?
Sure. Well, this is a new program, first of its kind here at Florida, and basically what we're studying is astronautics and aviation, kind of blended the two together. We have flight simulators in our lab, but students are also learning about engineering, aerospace engineering, and we're trying to make all kinds of pathways available for them, trying to give them opportunities to see which pathway they might want to be interested in. So yeah, it's just a great opportunity for them to learn about space. We just finished doing a whole model rocket build where the students took CAD software, developed their own rockets, put them together, and launched them right from our school. So it was very exciting.
Incredible. And then another local high school, Titusville, you guys also have a similar but slightly different program.
Yes, we do space mechatronics with advanced manufacturing, preparing students to build and manufacture things to automate, do automation to build things on Mars and things like that, or locally too.
Now, you told me that you're actually trying to figure out a little bit what you want to do when you're done. You're a freshman in high school. What things are you learning in your class here that are really kind of tweaking your interest in the aeronautics field?
So we're building a lot of things with like metal and how we're supposed to do it on the rockets. We're also doing computer programming, which would help with NASA and like programming and coding.
Absolutely. And you were actually telling me that I think were telling me that you're interested in becoming a pilot. We talked a little bit about the pilot who is on board the rocket right now. How is this program preparing you for your future?
I mean, it's teaching me everything that I know about aviation, and it's really inspiring that I get to learn it in a classroom, like locally as well. It's amazing. I love it.
And then you were also telling me you're taking this class. What's the most interesting thing you've learned?
I really like the whole design part of it, like actually like engineering, like because I want to be an engineer. Engineering the products we use when we build stuff. That's definitely my favorite part, learning how to use those kind of softwares.
Absolutely. Well, Megan, when they're seasoned NASA employees, you'll be able to say that you saw them here first when they were still in high school. Back to you at the desk.
I can also say that they have fans. Nicole Ayers here. As soon as that girl said that she wants to be a pilot, Nicole went, yeah, why is that something that's so thrilling for you to hear?
I mean, I love when kids in high school have goals and they set their goals high and they want to go do something. You know, the kid who wanted to be an engineer or a pilot, like, I love that. You know, find something that you're passionate about, go work hard at it, and go get good at it.
Yeah, and speaking of passion, I mean, we definitely have a whole bunch of people here passionate about what NASA is doing here. Again, the lawn behind us just filled with media from around the world, making sure that they can help tell our story to everyone who is interested in hearing it. So back here in Florida, of course, we have NASA leadership also keeping a close eye on launch operations. Let's go now to Jasmine Hopkins, who is standing by with Lori Glaze, Acting Associate Administrator of NASA's Exploration Systems Development.
Thanks so much, Megan. Yeah, we're honored to welcome Dr. Lori Glaze to the balcony now. Lori, this is our very first time having crew on an Artemis mission. How does that feel, and how does that change our overall approach to the mission?
It's a really good question, and it really came home today when we were watching the crew walk out, and then we saw them get into their van and go out to the pad, and we've been watching them getting into the crew module. And so we've really put an enormous amount of rigor into assuring the safety of our crew. One of the most important things on this mission, different from Artemis I, is we now have environmental controls and life support systems. One of the most important things we're going to do on this mission is test those out and make sure that we can keep our crew healthy and safe throughout their mission. We also on this mission have an activated launch abort system, which we had the system for Artemis I, but it wasn't active. But we definitely had that active on this mission. We want the ability, again, if something goes wrong, to be able to have that ability to abort and get them back to the ground again, safe.
Absolutely, Lori. I mean, as you're driving home, safety is paramount here at NASA, and your program is responsible for all of these Artemis elements. We have the Space Launch System, Orion, ground system. So how do you get everybody cohesively on the same page for a day like launch?
And that's a great question, and it's really been wonderful to watch our teams working together. We have the ground systems, which are kind of the bookends of our mission. The ground systems help prepare us to get the rocket ready to take off. They're doing all of the loading of the tanks right now and getting the crew into Orion, and then at the back end they'll be there to recover the crew when they land in the ocean. But they know that their job is to make sure that that rocket is ready to go and that the crew module is ready to go. And then the rocket itself, the space launch systems, they know that their job is to deliver the crew module to the right point in space so that they can conduct their mission. And then again, they have to make sure that everything is ready, that they set them them on the trajectory that is going to bring them around the moon and set them up to land in the right place in the Pacific Ocean. And that's their job, and they know how important that is. And they have to work closely with Orion, which again, they also have to work with all the other teams to make sure that everything's working together. And then on top of that, our flight operations teams, all the people on the ground, they're all working together. They know this mission doesn't work unless every single part of the mission works.
Right. Lori, there are so many things that have to work together today. We can't wait to see what happens next. Thank you so much for being here.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
Of course. And with that, let's take it back to the countdown with NASA's Megan Cruz.
Yeah, and speaking of the countdown, 1 hour, 59 minutes and counting until the opening of our 2-hour launch window at 6:24 p.m. Eastern Time. This is a shot of Jetty Park. It's a nearby popular viewing location of rocket launches, and it is so great to see how many people are here. I mean, this is a Wednesday. Like, people had to take time off of school and off of work, but it's something that they felt like they wanted to do, to be here.
Yeah, you know, I think just based on the chatter on the airplane ride yesterday, half of my airplane ride
really?
They were coming to see the launch. You know, everybody's excited and traveling from all over the world to come see this launch.
And it really is a great day. We had some sprinkles here in the crowd, but for the most part, I mean, it's just a beautiful day to witness history.
It is, yeah, you know, a little bit of sprinkles, but for the most part, the clouds are staying away, and you can see the blue sky behind us, so hoping for good weather in a couple hours.
Absolutely. And so Dr. Lori Glaze mentioned what we learned from the Artemis II mission helps pave the way to sustained human presence on the lunar surface. So what are the objectives of this mission to eventually accomplish that? Let's check in with Gary in Mission Control for more.
Thank you, Megan. Yes, the Ascent teams are here in Mission Control Houston, working through their steps to prepare for a go for launch. Right up here on the front board, we're watching the teams in the White Room work through their checklist and closing the hatch as we verify ours, working as one NASA team. What Dr. Glaze said about working across the teams throughout the nation is true. It takes one NASA team to bring everything together and accomplish the mission objectives. The Artemis II is designed as the first crewed test flight of NASA's Artemis campaign, sending astronauts into lunar space to validate systems, operations, and human performance ahead of a more complex lunar landing missions. NASA has identified an extensive list of mission and flight test objectives that serve as a checklist to verify the capabilities needed to land humans on the moon. For the Artemis II mission, there are 5 overarching priorities that cover the mission and flight test objectives. First is, of course, the crew. As the first crewed mission inside the Orion spacecraft, this mission serves to demonstrate the capability of safely sustain the flight crew throughout the mission, including launch, the deep space component, and return. Number 2 is systems. This mission brings it all together to validate the performance of all ground and flight systems needed for a long-term lunar campaign, from launch infrastructure to spacecraft operations in deep space. Third is hardware and data. We'll be gathering performance data as much as possible over the Deep Space Network, but we also aim to retrieve onboard data and hardware after splashdown to gather additional insight and improve future Artemis missions. Fourth is emergency operations. The crew and flight control team will be testing emergency systems such as abort procedures, rescue operations, and contingency responses. During the flight, astronauts will rehearse a number of these procedures to ensure that in the event of a real emergency, the planned procedures and operations are sound. And finally, there's subsystem validation. Engineers will be verifying subsystems across the board to ensure reliability across life support, propulsion, avionics, and navigation systems aboard the Orion spacecraft. Human spaceflight is a complicated endeavor that requires precision and confidence across all disciplines. You may hear the phrase, human spaceflight is the greatest team sport, a few times in today's coverage, and it's absolutely true. Not only does it need mastery of specific components, but the integration extends across thousands of people and facilities around the world to come together and make it all work. A lot of the work from many people has led to this moment, a rocket at the pad with humans on board, ready to put everything we worked for to the test. I'm certainly excited about it. The teams here in this room are looking forward to supporting the mission, and I hope those watching are as excited as we are. We are following the countdown here in Mission Control Houston. Everything continues to look good, now inside 2 hours from the beginning of the launch window. With that, I will send it back over to you, Megan and Nicole.
Hey, Gary, thank you so much. We are getting word that the launch team is working something that we would like to give you an update on, so let's get on over to Daryl.
All right, thank you, Megan, and we are live in Firing Room 1 here at the Launch Control Complex. Yes, we are currently not working any constraints with regards to the rocket or the ground systems. But the launch team has been made aware of an issue that the range is working. And currently they're monitoring that work that is going on over at the range. We understand that that issue is related to the flight termination system. Now, the flight termination system, just to give you a quick explainer, every rocket has a flight termination system. It's the system that the Eastern Range here uses in order to send a destruct signal to a rocket in case it veers off path. So it's a very critical, important safety component in terms of how the range keeps the public safe here. We understand that the flight termination system, they're working an issue. And so as they continue to work that issue, they've asked for some assistance from the launch team to help verify some of the work that they're doing on their FTS system. And this is where it gets a pretty unique situation here. The assistance they've asked for is to verify what's going on with their system. They want to check it to see that the work they're doing is okay. And in order to do that, the FTS console operator inside the firing room has been asked to help them verify it. And the way that they're going to do that, and the solution that he proposed to check and verify the system with the launch director, and she gave the approval, is to go get a piece of heritage equipment from inside the VAB that was used during the space shuttle program. And this equipment is able to receive commands by the range through the flight termination system. And so with this piece of equipment, this console operator who works FTS was granted permission to go go over to the VAB next door and get this equipment that he's very much aware of and used during the space shuttle era. And so that is in work right now. The bottom line of all this is, at this moment, the range is no-go. But that is not stopping us from moving forward in the countdown. We can continue to process and work the countdown. The closeout crew will continue to do their work, and the launch team will continue to do their work as well. But we'll keep you updated on what happens in regards to, as far as my understanding goes, a pretty unique situation here with trying to bring resolution and kind of help out the situation that we're seeing at the range right now. And that's the latest here from the firing room. We'll send it back to Megan and Nicole out the host desk.
Thank you, Daryl. Yes, very unique, but I think it speaks to the ingenuity of this team, right? To say, hey, we have this equipment at the VAB. Why don't we leverage it to try to solve this issue and work it?
Yeah, what a great example of human creativity, right? We know this thing exists. Let's go solve this problem. We have time, like Daryl said, we're going to continue to march down the countdown. So we'll continue to get the rocket and the crew ready, but we still have that 2-hour window. So in the meantime, let's try to figure out what's happening with the range. And
speaking of the range, what is the range for people who might not watch rocket launches with us often?
Sure, yeah. So anytime that you launch a rocket, you have to clear the airspace, right, in the launch corridor. So where the rocket's flight path is going to go, you have to make sure that that whole airspace is clear. And so we actually have assets, the Space Force helps us out with this one, but, we want to make sure that there aren't airplanes in the way and there aren't other, maritime assets in the way or things like that. So that there's a whole group of people. We talked about, actually, Gary said it great, right? it's a huge team sport. And so there's a whole group here on the ground that is monitoring that launch corridor to make sure it's clear and ready to go. And so if they're having issues, then we definitely can't launch this rocket. We don't want to launch blind into a corridor that we can't see.
Yeah, because as Daryl said, I mean, it is very important, the flight termination system, needing to activate it in case of an emergency. So yes, something that we will closely be monitoring throughout the countdown, and hopefully, again, won't be an issue, that they can fix this issue by going to the heritage hardware that's in the vehicle assembly building.
Right, what a great idea.
Okay, so again, under 2 hours from the opening of our 2-hour launch window, 6:24 p.m. Eastern Time. The crew, as you can see there, inside of Orion, relaxing, getting updates from the team, but also just getting in the right headspace for hopefully launch today. Let's learn a little more about each of them now.
The moon, to me, it's the thing that connects me together with all the other humans in my life. I remember being a little kid lying in bed at night and just looking out at the moon in whatever phase it was in, and I was thinking, man, my friends that live like 20 miles away, they can probably look out and see that same exact moon. And then when I was in the Navy and I would look out at the moon and I'd be halfway around the planet, and I would think, man, my brother can see that moon where he is, and he's halfway around the planet from where I am. To me, it's a connection of life on Earth. We can all look up and see that moon, and it's always changing. The moon is never the same 2 days in a row. I love that. My name is Reed Wiseman. I'm the commander of NASA's Artemis II mission around the moon. I grew up in a little town just north of Baltimore, Maryland, about 20 miles north of the city. There was a National Guard base nearby my house, and there were A-10 aircraft that would fly over every now and then. I just would look up at them and be like, man, I want to be up there. I want to go do that. And then my brother went to the Naval Academy, and I would go every year and watch the Blue Angels fly during commencement, and that just started to grow and grow and grow. For a while, I wanted to join the Air Force, and then I realized Navy flies as well, and they fly from ships in the middle of the ocean, and that was it. Like, done deal for me. That is exactly what I wanted to do for my career. Flying is freedom to me, especially when you're in a jet aircraft coming off of an aircraft carrier in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. Nearest land is over 1,500 miles away. So when you come off of that aircraft carrier, you are truly just alone with yourself out there. It is a magical experience to be out there all by yourself in an aircraft over the Pacific. It's free. I think anybody who accomplishes something that they set their mind out to, there's no one thing that does it for them. It's a combination of everything. I mean, the way my parents raised me, the way my brother and I, the way our relationship developed over time, my friends, being in the marching band, going to college, setting my own course, learning how to live on my own, being mentored along the way, being, kept on the path to success, but being given the freedom to, make excursions and fail every now and then and regroup and carry on. I think all those things come together in the end to get you where you are. I've had to overcome, I'm a human being. I've had to overcome a lot of fears. I'm pretty scared of heights. I joked about that on the International Space Station, but it turns out I'm only scared like at the edge of a building. When you're up on the International Space Station, even though you're 250 miles up, I never had that feeling of falling or that I was, at risk up there. I just kind of loved the feeling of floating and looking down at Earth. There have been challenges all throughout my life. By far, the biggest challenge was losing my wife in 2020 to cancer and now raising 2 daughters who are grown up now, but that's been the biggest challenge by far I've ever had to face. It is not easy. Being an only parent, trying to work a full-time job, and raising 2 kids is something that I think about every single day. I'm very proud of the work I've done. I haven't always done it well, but I've always shown up and tried as hard as I possibly can.
I do wonder what it's going to be like when we are really far from Earth and can see it. The sensation of being so far away from everything that you know. I had that sensation on the space station the first time I got to sit in the cupola for a really long time. So I can only imagine what that's going to be like from 200,000 plus miles away. My name is Victor Glover, and I'm the pilot for NASA's Artemis II mission around the moon. When I was in 4th grade, I was 10 years old, and that's when the Challenger accident happened. And it helped me understand how the general public felt about the astronaut corps, right? Like, these are the people that we want to be, and that just gave me an easy thing to strive toward. The biggest fear that I've had to overcome in my life is doubting myself. Going to college when no one in my family had gone to college was a huge risk. I had more confidence in my athletic ability than in my academic abilities. I could play football with those college students that I saw on TV. But my classmates that I saw in the lab and around the University Union, I didn't know if I had what they had. I think addressing that self-doubt was a part of, swinging for the fence and trying to go get an engineering degree, not just go to college, but get an engineering degree and then go do something challenging and technical like flying. Apollo is known for sending humans to the moon. Artemis has an opportunity to continue the Apollo story, but I actually think it's important for this story to stand on its own. Artemis is a new program, and we're trying to do new things. And it's great to compare and contrast. When you look at our spaceship, you can see parts that were designed, built, and integrated in another country. When you look at our crew, you see that our crew is international. There are also men and women. And I just think that comparing and contrasting makes the story even richer. The piloting role specifically, I will have an hour and a half or so where I get to fly the spacecraft by hand. We haven't flown that many spaceships. And so the ability to fly one actually in space on a test mission is just a really unique opportunity. I can't tell you how I'm going to feel when we fly by the moon and see the moon up close and the Earth from 250,000 miles away, but I don't use the word excited because I'm focused. What we do, this is very serious and it's very risky, and we are all intimately familiar with that risk. And so if we go out there and we're successful and we can pass that baton on to Artemis 3, that's something to really be excited about.
I tell a story, which is one that my dad told me before the Apollo missions when he was just a very little boy. He was looking up at the moon with his mom, and his mom said to him, "Don't worry, Ronnie, we'll never get there." Fast forward maybe 70 years later, it's his daughter that's actually going there. And I think that long arc is something that we can all learn from. The idea that the seemingly impossible becomes possible if you just believe in it and are willing to work hard and come together to achieve it. My name is Christina Cook, and I'm a mission specialist for NASA's Artemis II mission around the moon. When I look back at my dreams as a kid, I definitely never thought I would actually get here. I was very pragmatic. Even though I'm a dreamer, I knew that the odds were way against me again, so I might as well do something I'm loving in the meantime. I definitely loved science and math in school and, did pretty well in those things, but I also loved being active. I was always outside. I loved things that made me feel small. I loved looking at the night sky, oftentimes between the pine tree branches, or I loved the ocean. North Carolina also has mountains, and when we would go there, I just loved the vastness of all of those things. I loved how they made me feel and what they made me think about, and the vastness of the universe and how much out there was to learn. I'm drawn to exploring. I'm drawn to challenges that involve both mental and physical, and I'd much rather be solving problems wearing a whole lot of equipment and in a harsh environment, and that's just something I've carried with me ever since I was a kid. Thinking about the fears or challenges that I've had to overcome, there are just so many. I mean, basically, that has been the journey. I always say to people, do what scares you, and that means I have to follow my own advice. So doing what scares me meant getting on a plane and going to the Antarctic, getting on a plane and going to study abroad in Ghana, applying to become an astronaut, opening the EVA hatch in the airlock and going out of it into the darkness, strapping myself onto a rocket. And so for me, I think that no matter what the challenge, recognizing that if people believe in you and you believe they believe in you, the challenges seem always a little bit easier. To me, the moon, it represents history. It is a witness plate. Everything that's ever happened to the moon is still written on the moon. Every single person has looked at the moon their entire lives. We see the same moon. That's something really special. It's just the epitome of a symbol of something that's in each of our hearts, but that's also represents exploration and reaching.
I have this very distinct memory of seeing an image of an astronaut standing on the moon. It's burnt in my brain because I went back to it so many times in my childhood, and I would look at that image, and I know it had a huge impact on me that humans had walked on the moon. My name is Colonel Jeremy Hansen. I'm an astronaut with the Canadian Space Agency, and I'm a mission specialist on NASA's Artemis II mission around the moon. My elementary school years, I grew up on a farm outside of London, Ontario. I spent as much time as I could with my dad on the farm. I learned the value of hard work, for example. If I wanted to go to work with Dad, it was going to be a long day, and I was going to have to not complain, or I wasn't going to get to go the next day. I had a treehouse. I had a vivid imagination, and I changed my treehouse into a spaceship. I made all these dials and controls. I had circuit breakers for switches that I found in the barn, and I was exploring space in my imagination. The most important thing I did to get to where I wanted to go in life, which was flying fighter jets and eventually becoming an astronaut, is I shared those desires with other people. And it turns out, just like you don't go to the moon on your own, if you could, I would have done it a long time ago in my treehouse as a kid. You have to go as a team. I think the biggest impediment to achieving my goals was, of course, myself. And I think that's a common human experience. There are many times where just little things would get in my way, and my immediate interpretation of that was, well, now that goal's out the window. You know, people must have lifted me back up, and somewhere in the back of my head, that persistence came through. And I think that's a common human experience, to doubt ourselves. I've come to this, I guess, realization that I believe that we all have gifts to contribute, and the goal is to figure out how to use your energy towards adding positively to humanity's existence on this planet. But I love it when humanity sets big goals, like sending humans to the surface of the moon with an eye to eventually going to Mars, because when we do that, we can bring together genius from not just even in one country, but around the world. I've also learned from my indigenous mentors that they refer to the moon as Grandmother Moon. So you've probably heard of Mother Earth. They use Grandmother Moon because Grandmother Moon is responsible for the water in their community, just like the moon moves the water around the planet, affects the tides. And I think that's a really beautiful thing for us as we go back to the moon, to think about all the different cultures around the world and how they view the moon differently. And that's really neat because we all share that same moon in the night sky.
One hour, 38 minutes and counting until the opening of the Artemis II launch window today, 6:24 p.m. Eastern Time. And we are looking at the rocket and Orion out on the pad, historic launch pad 39B here at Kennedy Space Center. What a great view, Nicole.
Yes, it is. You know, we can see the clouds out in front of us, but they are to the west. And you can see that there's some blue sky peeking through behind that rocket, which is good news.
And more people continue to come on center here. About a couple of hours ago, folks with special passes to come on center were allowed to start driving on with family and friends. And of course, we have media growing by the moment here at the press site here at Kennedy Space Center, setting up their cameras, setting up tents, interviewing folks. Again, this great jib shot that we have from our camera here showing all the interest that we have here at the press site. And actually, even to the right of us, so camera left, no, sorry, the right of your screen, left of us, plenty of other people there, set up with their own tents, broadcasting to their own viewers. And so again, just really cool to see everybody wanting to share in this moment.
Yeah, that's, I mean, how many media tents we can see from here. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
I think it's important to share this message with the whole world.
Yeah. And so let's take a look now at people who are watching in other parts of the country. We have this shot here from the U.S. Space and Rocket Center in Huntsville, Alabama.
Oh, man, look
Just
at that.
kidding. Museum of Flight, Seattle, Washington. So sorry. Hello to you over there. Sorry, I thought that you were in Alabama. But here you are from Seattle, Washington. Again, the Museum of Flight. They must have had a special event to bring people there to watch, as well as a special event here. Now, correctly, the U.S. Space and Rocket Center, Huntsville, Alabama. Of course, they would have a lot of people here, and I'm sure this crowd will grow when we get closer to launch. Marshall, the home of the SLS rocket.
Yes. Yeah, this is a great shot. You can see all the people there, and obviously you've got quite a few artifacts in there as well. Oh,
now
they see us.
know.
Yes.
Yeah, now they know. They're on the broadcast. That's too funny.
Awesome.
Hey, listen, it's all right. We can sit. We can sit and chill until we wait for the opening of the window. No, there they are.
Yeah. Everybody's excited.
Thank you guys for showing us your excitement. I know deep down it was in there. It's just that you felt like sitting at the moment, and that's all right.
There's a little delay.
Yeah, that's all right. Well, thanks so much to those supporting these watch parties and bringing them to us live here. Actually, our video paths are taking quite a circuitous route to be able to bring those live views in from Seattle as well as Alabama, but we're glad that we can be able to share it with you in the broadcast now. And so why are we going to the moon? Why does NASA want to build a moon base there? Here's Megan Carter again with our moon board.
All right, thank you, Megan. Yeah, so we are right around that hour-and-a-half mark, hopefully for that launch. It's going to be very exciting. So they are going to have a few days to be around the low Earth orbit, and then they'll be heading on to the moon. So yes, let's talk what will be happening. Why are we going to the moon? So obviously this is not going to be a landing, as we've discussed. They are going to be coming with 4,000 to 6,000 feet around the moon's surface, and this is going to connect us directly to our past. Those Apollo missions did have 6 lunar landings, and the Artemis campaign is looking to build on that past by going back to the moon, staying longer, and then going farther. So how are we going to do that, and why? We have obviously talked a little bit about that lunar South Pole, and we are focused specifically on the far side of the moon for this one for a specific reason. You might have guessed we're going to be looking for some resources especially, and that's going to be water or water ice. That is going to be giving us some really critical pieces for future missions. And as you can see here, we have identified 9 potential landing zones. So this is going to be a critical objective for our crew. Depending on when they launch, it will determine what is going to be visible, but we do have these 9 landing zones right here around the Shackleton crater. And as you can see here, a lot of that area is deep and dark, and that is where we are going to be looking for that water ice, because that is obviously going to give us not just water to drink, but as we know, that can actually be converted into our propellant potentially, that hydrogen and oxygen. So that is going to make the moon a critical place for that moon base, because we want to think of it essentially as a backpacking trip. If you have your tent and your hiking boots and your camping stove and all your gear, you don't want to take that out and be on the trail for the first day and then try everything out. You're going to test things out a little bit closer to home before you go out on that adventure. And that kind of goes for us as well. So the moon is going to be critical for us in the future steps towards our lunar landings, and then also for going farther on to Mars in the future. It's going to set us up for that deep space exploration, and we can't wait to see what they see once they get to that flyby. But for now, we are, like I said, getting closer. So I'm going to turn it back over to you, Megan.
Exciting stuff. Again, the idea of accomplishing a moon base, like as we've been saying, sometimes things just seem like science fiction, and it's amazing that we're making it science fact.
Yes, yeah, we're going back. We're going to scout it out, and then on the future Artemis missions, we're going to put boots back on the moon for the first time in over half a century. But we're going to stay, and we're going to learn from the moon, and we're going to, as Megan talked about, the water ice, and harness that resource, and, not only learn from the moon about Earth and about the solar system, but also figure out how we get to Mars from the moon.
And so what we're seeing now back inside the White Room with the closeout team, they are removing basically fixtures that protected the crew module hatch while they did work around it, right, Nicole?
Yep. Yeah, so anytime that you're moving around and working, there are some sensitive sensors and parts of the crew module that we don't want to kick or bump into, and so it's easier to just put a guard up while you're working in there and then take it down later.
And so this is a visual cue for us that the team is getting ready to close the last hatch, again, the launch abort system hatch. Can you tell us about what the last is?
Yeah, so launch abort system, this is, we have the crew module, and then what sits out basically on top of the crew module is the launch abort system, and it has its own motors, so that we'll arm it about 5 minutes prior to launch, and then it stays with the crew module until about the Kármán line, so that 100-kilometer point in space. Once the crew could safely get to orbit, it will actually be jettisoned, and the crew module will then be exposed. So this is just a safety mechanism that stays on the outside of the crew module, and then as they monitor the attitude and the thrust and all sorts of the roll, all sorts of different data points to make sure the crew is safely getting to orbit. And once they are safely to orbit, then we will get rid of that launch abort system.
And it looks like they're putting all these parts that they're removing from around the crew module hatch into a bag because they have to take this out with them once they leave the pad, right?
Yes, yeah, we don't want anything left up there in the white room, and especially because that crew access arm will move away from the capsule and the rocket, and so we want an empty white room, no FOD like we talked about, so that we can have a safe launch.
And this orange tube that you see on the right side of your screen, that had been inside the crew module providing breathable air to the crew. And now again, with the crew module closed and them getting ready to close the second hatch that has been removed and is out of the way. So again, the closeout crew can continue to do their work.
Yeah, that's just a duct to provide some cooling air and some breathing air to the crew and the closeout crew while they're in there.
That's actually a good point, yeah. And so as we continue to watch the crew prepare to close the launch abort system hatch, why don't we take a look at the crew's mission patch? Now, crews have designed their official mission patches since the Gemini 5 launch in 1965. Reed, Victor, Christina, and Jeremy, they really wanted to play on the abbreviation of Artemis II to all, signifying not only the second major flight of the Artemis program, but also a mission to explore for all, by all. The crew chose the iconic Earthrise photo for a reason. It was taken by the Apollo 8 crew in 1968, the first crew to ever fly around the moon. The mission was to prove teams then were ready to land on the moon the same way Artemis II hopes to fly around the moon ahead of a lunar landing with Artemis 4. This time, as we've been saying throughout the broadcast, to stay on the moon and pave the way to Mars.
Yeah, we talk about incremental steps, right? And so Artemis 2 is very similar to Apollo 8 in terms of that increment. They're going to fly around the moon and set up the rest of the Artemis program for landing on the moon, but also with a nod towards the fact that we do this for all humanity. And I love the thoughtfulness and how much importance they put on their patch design.
Another camera angle of inside the Orion spacecraft.
I was going to say we might be able to see Rise, but I think it's right behind Reed's foot there.
And so to orient people again, so basically we have Christina in your upper right hand, Christina in your upper left hand corner. Then you have Jeremy below her. And then the feet you're seeing, those are Reed's feet. And then next to him, the upper right hand corner, that is Victor, who's unfortunately hidden by Reed's feet. But again, that is the orientation of the crew inside Orion right now. Now, earlier this week, the crew got to stick their patch on a wall just outside the suit-up room. You can play that video there now. You can see that crews have been doing this as part of a pre-flight tradition again. Wow, Reed just making sure that thing won't come off.
It's flat.
And so now Victor is signing there, followed by Christina, and then Jeremy. That's a fun tradition, and your patch is up there too.
It is, yeah, ours is on the left-hand side there. Yeah, it's a fun tradition. This is a really fun day too. You know, they did this a couple days ago, but it's just another step that makes it a little bit more real that you're going to be launching soon.
Again, we talked a little bit about this before. The basically like a computer there on Jeremy's leg, a way for him to just check out the data, see some of the data that also Reed and Victor are getting to see, but in those much bigger displays for Orion.
Right, yeah, it's basically a tablet on his leg, and it's actually plugged into a cord nearby that allows him to have a screen repeater so he can see what they're looking at.
And it looks like he's taking notes. Can you talk a little bit about what that is? It's part of, all of them have like a little procedural book, right?
Right, yeah, so they have what we call a knee board, and they'll have blank pages to take notes on. They might have a cue card or procedures, or they can be kind of custom built to what each crew member wants for their knee board.
This mission, of course, built by people and companies in all 50 states, as we've been saying throughout the broadcast, and with our international partners as well. Let's take a look at some of the people playing such a big role in today's test flight.
What we're doing here is a collaborative effort of hundreds of thousands of people.
This is about the parts, the hardware, the software, the services, all coming together to make that mission possible.
My dream for this space program is that we would not just push the boundaries, but that we push them together.
And liftoff of Artemis 1. We rise together, back to the moon and beyond.
It takes a team to do great things. And Artemis has an incredible team.
We have international partners. We have commercial partners and industry partners.
It takes unity to accomplish great things, and that's what this mission's all about.
We're not sending our money to the moon and lighting it on fire. We're putting that money right back into the economy in ways that benefit everybody. So every dollar that comes out of the Treasury that goes to support this mission goes back into the Treasury 3 times. What is very important to me is that we do it the right way, and that we do it with our values, that our industries grow, that our communities grow, that our families are healthy and safe and have amazing things to work on. Then we're going to build machines to go even further onto Mars.
That is our generation, the Artemis generation, that defines the starting point of our exploration future.
I just want to say thank you to all of the hands that have touched a part of this program and the hearts that have moved everyone to this goal, because we're going to the moon and we're going beyond.
One team.
One team.
One team.
One dream.
What I really like about that package is, again, just reminding people that this is spurring so many jobs across the country.
Yeah, across the country and across the world, right? The whole world has a part of this. The Artemis Accords are signed by over 40, 50 different countries. And so, yeah, we're taking all of the taxpayers' money and we're putting it right back into the jobs here in the U.S.
And the money, too. You know, when we have more disposable income because we have good paying jobs, that's money that goes back into our economy as disposable income. So really, it is just an ecosystem that NASA is proud to be a part of.
Right. Not only is it about the money and the economy, right, but it's also about the science and what we're going to learn and exploration. You know, on top of all of those things, we benefit the economy as well.
Mm-hmm. Obviously, Nicole is a wealth of knowledge. We're very lucky to have her. We're going to be tapping into that knowledge throughout the broadcast, and we have been for now close to 4 hours. So thank you, Nicole. I hope you're holding up okay.
Yeah, I'm loving it out here. It's been great.
Let's learn a little bit more about Nicole. Her first mission to space was actually last March. She launched from here at Kennedy Space Center as pilot of NASA's SpaceX Crew 10 mission to the International Space Station. And what a beautiful launch that was. She spent 148 days in space conducting science experiments that could benefit us on Earth. For example, one studied the physics of liquids, which could help researchers deliver medicines more effectively. She also conducted an almost 6-hour spacewalk to help upgrade the orbiting lab's power system. Nicole is a lieutenant colonel in the U.S. Air Force and flew one of its most advanced aircraft. She was born in San Diego, California, and is a twin. That's a cute photo of the two of you. Oh, that one too.
Young explorers, yeah.
Yes, yes. That's so great to just see how far you've come. Again, I think that speaks to what we've been saying. Like, you know, just if you're passionate about something, go for it and see where that takes you.
Yeah, I think that's a great example. You know, I was a serious little kid with really high goals and just kept working hard and never got bumped off the path and ended up here. Mm-hmm. And I think it's a testament to the human, like we talked about, if you're willing to work hard, be a good team player, you can really get anywhere you want in life. And that's what I love to talk about. Christina has mentioned similar things. And so it's been kind of a theme for the day.
Yeah, definitely a theme for the day, a theme for the team. The team has said the same, the crew has said the same sort of things. So absolutely, Nicole, thank you so much for being here. And hopefully only a little bit more until launch today.
Hopefully.
So today's Artemis II test flight will mark only the 7th time NASA astronauts will launch on a new NASA spacecraft designed for crew. And then controlling the flight will be Mission Control in Houston. Our Gary Jordan is inside with flight controllers. Hey, Gary.
Hey, Megan, you are right. This is a significant milestone, and we may be putting the names of a few more astronauts in the history books today. The Artemis II crew is set to launch today will join a select list of humans to fly in a spacecraft for the very first time. And Artemis II, like missions before it, is a test mission. During Ascent, the crew and the teams here in the room are prepared for a variety of scenarios. Some of these will be called out directly by Capcom Stan Love during Ascent, and some are a little more subtle. These calls can be split into 2 categories: alternate main engine cutoff or MECO targets, and aborts. First, there are 2 alternate MECO targets, or AMTs. These note milestones to give flight control teams and astronauts an idea of what would happen after that moment should the core stage lose one of the main engines. First is AMT low. You won't hear it called out by the crew or Capcom since this happens right at liftoff. If the core stage loses one engine at this moment, an abort once around option could be made at main engine cutoff, meaning the crew could target a splashdown in the Pacific. The second is AMT high, which would be called out by Capcom's Stan Love around 22 seconds. After this moment, if the core stage loses an engine, we can still pursue an alternate mission in low Earth orbit to accomplish some of the test objectives. And at about 5 minutes, 16 seconds into the flight, you'll hear the call 3-engine press. This is a good moment. After this point, if the core stage loses an engine, we can still make a nominal main engine cutoff and pursue a moon mission as expected. Again, these MECO targets give the flight control teams and crew an idea of what lies ahead should one main engine be lost, but assumes we are otherwise continuing to a main engine cutoff target. This differs from an abort, where the Orion capsule separates from the Space Launch System prior to the planned separation time. There are abort options at every moment that integrity is attached to the Space Launch System, from the pad to more than 3 hours into the mission. During the first 8 or so minutes of powered flight, there are 3 abort options. First is the use of the launch abort system, which you see at the very top of the rocket and here in the White Room where the hatch is open and teams are working to close it. This particular abort capability can be used from here at the pad through roughly 3 minutes and 22 seconds into the flight. Next is an untargeted abort splashdown, or UAS. This uses Orion service module engines to escape the SLS and becomes available immediately after the launch abort system jettisons. Third is an abort once around, or AOA. You'll hear Capcom Stan Love call AOA open around 7 minutes 30 seconds into the flight. This also uses the service module engines, but the burn profile is a bit different to aim for a splashdown in the Pacific after one trip around the Earth. NASA's expedited recovery teams are staged off the coast of San Diego to get to the crew and integrity quickly for this abort option. An AOA option continues to be available until solar arrays are deployed on the Orion service module a little more than 30 minutes into the mission. At this point, an abort to orbit, or ATO option, becomes available until separation from the upper stage around 3 hours and 23 minutes. Mission profiles can vary depending on when an ATO is executed in that window, but with power being drawn from solar arrays, it buys more time for astronauts and flight control teams to make decisions and stay in Earth orbit, return for a splashdown, or continue to the moon. The Artemis II crew and flight control teams are well trained on all of these scenarios, and the calls you'll hear to the crew on Orion to Earth may help them be in a ready state for whatever challenge may come their way. At this time, we're not tracking any significant issues here in Mission Control in Houston, Texas. That would be showstoppers for today's launch. We're continuing to, of course, monitor the countdown along the way
MS1,
and make sure all systems are go for when we reach T0. With that, I'll send it back to you, Megan, at the Kennedy Space Center.
All right, we are ready for another reading if you are ready over there. Yes, sir. CBA is steady at 2,600 PSI.
All right. Copy that. And, the more times we ask you to do that, the closer we get to launch. So that's a good thing.
Copy.
You heard it there from NASA Test Director Jeff Spaulding. The more that they keep on asking her how the pressure is holding in the counterbalance assembly mechanism is a good thing, because it means we are getting closer to launch. So that's amazing news over the loops that we just heard on Orion to Earth 1. Again, that communication channel with the crew. But now I want to get back over to Daryl with the launch team. He has an update now on the flight termination system that the team was tracking.
All right. Thank you very much, Megan. And we're getting an update now from the launch team as we speak. All right, stand by 1 second. Okay. Sorry about that. We're just getting an update, in fact, about what I was about to report out on the range. And the good news is the range is go. So we reported that they were working to verify their equipment regarding the FTS system. And they asked for a little of that verification work to be done by one of the FTS engineers here in the firing room. He went out to the VAB to get some legacy hardware to help out with it. But in the end, this is a fix that the range had come up with to get clearance, to clear the range rather, and to as well work the FTS system. And so now they are go. Again, the range is go. That is no longer a constraint. And so you combine that with the fact that the rocket and the ground systems here also working, no constraints, clear board here is great news. So again, the range is green, and we're continuing to work through the countdown. We got a weather update that came in to the launch director from Launch Weather Officer Mark Berger. He reported out that there's still a little bit of feisty weather activity that's happening up in the Titusville area. That's the city neighboring the Kennedy Space Center. Those showers had passed over Kennedy, and then now they're currently over in Titusville, currently still within that mile kind of constraint of flight through precipitation rule. But we're still far enough from the window that it looks like it won't be an issue. And in fact, we're seeing some good sunlight now breaking through onto the launch pad. As you can see, it's actually shining on the other side of the rocket here. But to the west, we're starting to see some of that clearing that was forecast. And so the launch weather officer held his forecast for 80% go for flight during our launch window tonight, which, as a reminder, is 6:24 p.m. Eastern Time until 8:24 p.m. Eastern Time. And we're also hearing that the last hatch closure, as you can see in the bottom corner of your screen, they're starting to work on that. That's the launch abort system hatch. There are two hatches, the crew hatch and the launch abort system hatch. And the closeout crew that you see right there, right on time with their work as they go to shut. And you can see it in motion right now, that launch abort system hatch. That's the latest from the firing room. We'll send it back to the host desk.
Thank you so much, Daryl. Great news all around. And yes, we did just see them close the last hatch. And now we are looking at a live view of Banana Creek. Lots of people there, I'm sure, relieved to hear that that issue with the flight termination system has been resolved. And we are go for launch. Go for launch from the range. Go for weather. And go from all of them, I would imagine.
Yes, it's got to be exciting. The crowd is building. And as Daryl said, you can start to see the sun poking out here, and we can see all the clouds are moving north and moving away from us. So it's all good news.
And so as we know, we have our Leah Martin down there at the Banana Creek viewing location, and she's standing by with some other guests.
Hey, Megan, I don't know if you heard that huge cheer just now. If you heard a big rumble, as soon as Daryl said that the range was clear for launch, everybody clapped. It was super excited as we get to do some final countdowns. Standing next to me, I have Hudson and Maddox, the son of brothers here. And I asked you a little bit earlier, how excited are you to be here for launch? What did you say?
I'm very excited. It's our mom's birthday, and, you know,
not a better way to celebrate right now. I asked you on a scale of 1 to 10, how excited are you? Would you say?
11.
Yeah,
11. I'm very excited.
Super excited. Yeah.
So, Megan, we've been watching the launch broadcast here and hearing some of the questions that you and Nicole have been asking and answering. And I actually wanted to ask these two kids, if you could take a 10-day trip around the moon and take 3 people with you, who'd you take with you?
Well, I'd take my dad and my mom. And, I mean, I don't know. Probably my best friend. I'd just say one of my friends, you know.
Oh, one of your friends. So brother got left out. Who would you take?
That was just what I was thinking. My dad and my mom and my best friend.
That's a pretty good answer. Your brother can get his own trip to space, right? Yeah. So I'm actually joined here also by Dad. Now, you were sharing with me that a lot of the work that you've been doing over the last several months has been prepping the launch teams, our engineering teams, our ground systems teams to get ready for launch, to be mindful and to be in this moment. How does it feel to be standing here knowing that the people you've worked so closely with are doing what they're passionate about, or doing what they were born to do, moments away from launching this rocket?
I mean, this is an exceptionally happy moment for us and all of us and the people that are, you know, about to take off on this historic trip here. And I'm grateful to know that we've helped in some way, shape, or form to help them stay steady and calm, you know, in such an exciting time within the agency. And so to just be here and witness it and know that, you know, they've got some tools to help them stay calm and steady is everything to us. So.
Fantastic. Well, Megan, we are standing by ready to go, and we're ready to cheer this team on.
Thanks so much, guys. And yes, Leo, we did hear that cheer. That was very exciting. I think the vibe over there is they're celebrating, they're having fun. And here, once they heard that we're go for launch, everybody had to run back to the camera and work. It's a little bit of a different vibe, but I definitely think that people are excited, especially as we see now live inside of the White Room at the launch pad. The closeout crew has closed the launch abort system hatch. You saw there, we took it live. Took a lot of them, I think all of them, except for one. I think it took 3 or 4 of them to push that hatch door close, and then they felt around the perimeter of the door to make sure that everything was sitting just right.
Right, yeah, we talked about how heavy the crew module hatch is. This hatch is just as heavy probably, and so, you know, they're working the closure here. And working those connections, and you can see, yeah, there's still 3, 4, 5 people that we can see in the White Room. It takes a lot of people to get this these hatches closed and this rocket ready to launch.
Mm-hmm. And so the next step in the countdown is that this team will start closing out the White Room. So basically disconnecting things, stowing things, making sure that when they leave, there is nothing that isn't supposed to be there. And really, then at that point, it's just all 4 of the crew member, Victor, Reed, Christina, and Jeremy by themselves at the top of the launch pad.
Yeah, and then eventually that crew access arm will move away, and then it'll really just be them up on top of that rocket.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, your eyes lit up when I said that. That's exciting. It is. It is.
Yeah, we had a moment, we talked a little bit about my fear of heights, but most of our crew is afraid of heights. And so there was a moment where I realized that it was just us, you know, 100 and some odd feet up and
no
crew access arm, and may or may not have said something that made everybody go, huh.
Were you wondering to yourself, how did I get here?
We're pretty far up.
That crew again bringing that drag-on camera. That camera is a handheld camera that is a live look for teams who are remotely watching these operations closely. Again, verifying that things are as they should be before the crew starts, the closeout crew starts leaving the White Room. You see them checking their procedures.
You can see they're covering the ends of those hoses. That's to protect those hoses from FOD, so we don't want any dirt or anything to get into those while we transport them and stow them. So you can see Andre there working to close out the hoses as well while they're cleaning up the White Room.
And so they'll tape that close. You just saw number 5. Number 5 holding some tools. Again, we'll stow those away. You have to account for everything. Obviously, you know, they did have tools out. They did have procedures, paper, notes out. Like, all of that has to go.
Yes, and you can even see on number 3's hat, he's got a string that's connected to his suit there.
Mm-hmm.
That's, again, just to make sure that we don't lose anything. If, you know, gust of wind or you get knocked or something, you don't want to lose a single thing in the White Room. So everything is tethered, everything is accounted for, and everything is protected.
The crew now, another live view of them inside Orion. Jeremy, Christina, and Reed and Victor on the right side of your screen. What do you think they're thinking right now, Nicole?
Oh man, just over an hour to launch. You know, there's probably a little bit of a lull right now, monitoring some systems, but you can see Reed's got his feet crossed. So I think just trying to relax and, you know, pass the time by maybe thinking through the items that they're going to monitor through the launch, you know, the different jobs that each of them have throughout the launch. And once they get to orbit, you know, this first day on orbit is actually really busy for them.
Mm-hmm.
They've got, you know, 2 burns that they have to monitor. They've got to get the system set up, and they've got to get the cabin set up. So there's a lot going on in the next 24 hours for this crew. I think they've got a couple sections where they get to take a nap, but I don't think they get a full night's rest for quite some time. So,
yeah,
you know, going through what's next.
And so as we say that, I mean, imagine what it would be like to live in a spacecraft for 10 days. Let's take a look at what life will be like in Orion.
Artemis II is our first crewed mission back to the moon since the Apollo program. A lot of the focus of Artemis II is really checking out systems to be sure that we're ready and well positioned for continued human exploration. My name is Susan Baggerman, and I'm the Chief Health and Performance Officer for the Orion program and the Artemis II mission. And this is 10 Days in Orion. For this mission, the crew will launch in the Orion spacecraft on top of the Space Launch System rocket, or the SLS rocket. Once they've launched and achieved orbit, they'll continue on checking out many of the different critical Orion systems, check out some of the critical medical systems, and be sure that we understand how the crew would do that successfully within the volume of Orion. We also have, of course, systems to feed the crew. They have a potable water dispenser that they'll check out. And then we also have a food warmer, kind of looks like a suitcase that the crew can use to heat their food. They're also going to check out the flywheel system. We'll have the crew perform some initial exercises. Part of that is to ensure that the flywheel is actually working, but part of it is actually to be sure that our environmental control systems are actually working. For sleeping, the crew will sleep in sleeping bags. Some crew members like to be very tightly bound up, and some like to float very free. They'll use the toilet for the first time and be sure that it's able to flush. While they're on their journey, they'll do some testing that they quickly don their suit just to be sure that we would be ready in the future for an emergency. They'll also check out our radiation shelter. If we were to have a solar particle event, we would be asking them to take stowage out of the stowage bay and put it in some specific locations on the vehicle, basically for it to serve as shielding.
And so I want to talk a little bit more about what we just heard in that package. I am interested in the space food. So Reed, Victor, Christina, and Jeremy have a pretty big menu to choose from, so that's really cool. We're actually going to pull up a graphic now that kind of shows you some of the food that they're going to have with them on their 10-day journey around the moon. We know of more than 10 types of beverages. There's coffee, a mango peach smoothie, apple cider, lemonade. So those all sound delicious. And now I've just remembered I haven't eaten lunch.
They're actually not too bad. I actually have a mango peach smoothie with me today.
No way.
Yeah. So you can see they come in these little packets here, but it's just kind of a dried powder that you add water to. So this would actually, you'd add 175 milliliters of water and let it sit for 2 to 5 minutes, and then you can stick a straw in it. You saw in that package they put a straw on the top septum portion there, and then you can drink it.
And so this is the packaging. This is food that you brought up with you, or that you had while you were at the ISS.
Yes. Yeah. Actually, this is all food that we have available to us on the standard, what we call the standard menu on the space station. And so, actually, the graphic there showed quite a bit of the standard menu that they're going to take with them. So,
yeah, let's pull
space
it back
food
up,
is space food. Yeah, we can use the food that we have been using. You know, our food lab at Johnson Space Center actually creates that food, and then they stabilize it and they package it for us and everything. So they do a really wonderful job out there. We've got different types of food. You know, you can see I've got this is a soup, tomato basil soup, so thermal stabilized. It's already hydrated, so you just throw it in that food warmer that we talked about, and then you can eat it. But then we also I have some shrimp cocktail here that's, you know, irradiated, so it's in a package that protects it. I'll show you.
La nave no tiene refrigeración, tiene que aguantar la temperatura del tiempo del regular, pero que al mismo tiempo guarde su nivel nutricional. Y también hay galletas, café, batidos diferentes, pero bueno, hay unas que están comidas embolsadas en secas o deshidratadas y que tienen que usar el agua potable. Hay un sistema de agua potable que se conecta y ahí se hidratan y después pueden comérsela.
Bueno, están cubiertos entonces.
Están cubiertos, claro, sí.
Vayamos ahora a una nueva actualización de las operaciones de lanzamiento con Hamilton Fernández.
Muchas gracias, Noelia. Bueno, ahora nos encontramos a menos de una hora del lanzamiento. El conteo continúa sin pausas. El equipo está aprovechando este tramo para completar las últimas verificaciones de comunicaciones, de los trajes de los astronautas y de todos los sistemas antes de llegar a la pausa crítica de T-30 minutos. Y justo a los T-30 minutos vamos a entrar en una pausa del conteo que es planificada. Noelia, estas pausas planificadas o holds, como los conocemos en inglés, son momentos programados dentro del conteo regresivo en los que el reloj se detiene a propósito. No son por fallas ni por problemas, son una parte normal del proceso. Estas pausas permiten al equipo de lanzamiento revisar sistemas, confirmar el estado del cohete, la nave y la tripulación y asegurarse de que todo esté listo antes de avanzar a la siguiente fase del conteo. Una vez completadas las verificaciones, el reloj se reanuda y el lanzamiento continúa según lo previsto. Y regresamos contigo, Noelia.
Muchas gracias, Hamilton. Es muy emocionante estar en nuestro centro Kennedy en este momento tan especial. De hecho, nuestra compañera Estefanía Mitre estuvo conversando con algunas de las personas que han venido a ver el despegue de Artemis II, desde colegas de la NASA hasta familias que han viajado cientos o miles de kilómetros para estar aquí. Veamos.
¡Vamos, Artemis!
¡Vamos, Artemis! ¡Vamos, Artemis!
¡Vamos, Artemis! Así se vive el ambiente en el Centro Espacial Kennedy de la NASA, donde hace más de medio siglo se dieron los lanzamientos de las misiones Apolo. Hoy queremos conocer cómo se siente la gente a unas cuantas horas de presenciar el despegue de Artemis II, el primer vuelo de prueba tripulado alrededor de la Luna del programa Artemis de la NASA.
¿Qué te puedo decir? No hay palabras para describirlo.
Aparte de estar emocionadísima, estoy bien agradecida de poder ser parte de este equipo que ha trabajado tanto para llegar a este momento. Estamos abriendo el paso para las misiones de exploración espacial humanas en el futuro y pues es bien emocionante.
No, yo era muy chiquito, no recuerdo el proyecto Apolo, más allá de todo lo que he leído, estudiado y por supuesto casi como que uno lo sabe de memoria. Pero el hecho de poder ver a 4 personas yendo a dar una vuelta a la Luna y volver es algo wow.
Es muy esperanzador ver que regresamos a la Luna después de más de 50 años. Ya, quiero que se vaya y que regresen todos sanos y salvos.
Cómo la humanidad se une para poder lograr algo tan grande y tan magno que nos une como humanos, y pues precisamente eso es lo más que me emociona, definitivo.
Ser partícipes de esto es algo que no tiene nombre, es algo espectacular.
Lo que conlleva a la humanidad, la cantidad de trabajo de miles de personas para que esto se produzca, creo que ahí uno empieza a acercar la ficha, como se dice, y entender lo que significa ir a la Luna.
Algo que antes era un sueño de poder ver en libros, hoy día está de frente a nuestros ojos, y para mí eso es la felicidad completa.
Es una emoción increíble poder presenciar y poder hacer parte de la misión y añadir ese granito de arena para que se lleve a cabo.
Vamos Artemis, vamos para la Luna.
Vamos Artemis y vamos de regreso Noel y Luis.
A bordo de Orion van 4 astronautas, pero también hay un quinto pasajero no humano. Este pequeño peluche es un indicador de gravedad cero que resultó de un concurso de diseño a nivel mundial en 2025. La propia tripulación de Artemis II seleccionó a este diseño como el ganador. El diseñador es Lucas Ye, un niño de California que cursa segundo año de primaria. Lucas, de hecho, está aquí con su familia para ver el lanzamiento. El peluche fue fabricado en nuestro Centro Espacial Goddard en Maryland y ahora está a bordo de la nave espacial Orion, listo para acompañar a nuestros astronautas en su vuelo espacial. Pero, ¿qué es exactamente un indicador de gravedad cero? Nuestro astronauta Frank Rubio nos lo explica en este video.
Hola, soy Frank Rubio, astronauta de la NASA. Y hoy quiero explicarles cómo, tras un despegue, los astronautas nos damos cuenta de en qué momento hemos llegado al espacio. Lo hacemos con la ayuda de una pequeña y sencilla herramienta, el indicador de gravedad cero. Usualmente es un pequeño objeto, un peluche, algo que es especial para la tripulación, que se lleva en la nave espacial y colgamos de alguna parte de la nave. Y al llegar a través del espacio, sabemos que estamos ya en la microgravedad, porque ese peluche empieza a flotar un poco. El otro aspecto que tienen es que nos da una conexión a nuestra familia, a nuestro pueblo. La información que nos da el indicador es que nos dice cuándo hemos llegado al espacio. Entonces es el momento en que se para el impulso del motor principal y por eso deja que empiece a flotar el CGI. Yo volé con una tripulación rusa. Entonces, usualmente todos hablamos y platicamos de qué va a ser. Lo único que no puede ser muy pesado y tiene que ser un poco pequeño porque, claro, no hay mucho cupo adentro de la nave. Como mis compañeros eran rusos, ellos eligieron un peluche que se llama Cheburashka. Es parecido a Topollillo. Si tú sabes el ratoncillo, es casi igual que ese. Entonces, para ellos, para su país, es algo muy especial y por eso usamos a Cheburashka. Hay unos que prefieren que sea un poco más fácil saber a dónde está y la cuelgan, y otros que prefieran pasarla o tirarla entre uno mismo y es un poco más como juego. Fue una emoción grande porque al fin uno sabe que ha llegado al espacio. Entre toda la tripulación empezamos a dar high fives sabiendo que había sido un éxito nuestro lanzamiento. Yo en realidad tenía un pequeño peluche en mi bolsillo que se llamaba Chimpo. Es un pequeño peluche que mis hijos habían usado por casi 20 años y lo puse en mi bolsillo. Aunque no lo usamos, yo sabía que estaba conmigo y tenía esa conexión con mis hijos mientras estábamos en el espacio.
Como acabamos de ver, los indicadores de gravedad cero pueden ser muy tiernos, pero tienen una finalidad práctica. Cuando empiezan a flotar, indican a la tripulación que han llegado al espacio. Luis, ¿qué más sucede dentro de la cápsula Orion una vez que deja la Tierra?
Sí, claro, Noelia. Mira, voy a usar este modelo para explicar que ya llegando al espacio, después de que nos separamos del cohete, hay sistemas de sustento vital que son en esta parte del módulo, y van a estar verificados por los astronautas y también el equipo de control de Houston. también la otra cosa que van a hacer es quitarse esos trajes de los que mencionamos y también desarmar los asientos que vimos hace rato que ocupan mucho espacio, los hacen a un lado y los guardan. Y un paso muy importante es probar el inodoro.
Muy importante.
Muy importante, sí, es un sistema nuevo que está incluido en esta parte de la nave. Ahí será verificado. Y así todos estos sistemas están bien. También vamos a estar checando estos paneles solares. Se van a abrir en la órbita y estos paneles solares van a capturar la energía del sol para generar la electricidad que necesita todos los sistemas y alimentar todos los sistemas eléctricos. Si todo está bien en la primera órbita, en las segundas 2 órbitas, vamos a encender el motor que ves aquí abajo, es el motor principal, y ese motor encendido nos va a llevar a la Luna.
Muy bien. Bueno, y recién hablábamos de un 5º pasajero, pero lo cierto es que a bordo de la nave espacial Orion van también millones de nombres de personas de todo el mundo que se anotaron para acompañar este viaje de manera simbólica. Nuestra campaña Envía tu nombre alrededor de la Luna reunió más de 5 millones de nombres que van grabados en una tarjeta de memoria a bordo. De hecho, esta tarjeta está cosida dentro del peluche indicador de gravedad cero. Luis, yo mandé mi nombre y el de mi familia. ¿Tú enviaste el tuyo?
Yo también tengo mi nombre ahí en la nave, con el RISE, pero tengo algo un poquito más especial. Cuando nos dieron los 4 teléfonos de los astronautas para procesarlos y certificarlos para el vuelo, tuvimos la oportunidad, yo y mis compañeros, de grabarnos videos y mandarles saludos a los astronautas. Entonces, cuando llegan al espacio y saquen sus teléfonos celulares, van a ver sus imágenes y sus videos. Ahí nos van a ver como sorpresa, mandándoles saludos y buenos deseos.
Qué linda oportunidad, y sin duda se van a llevar una grata sorpresa cuando lo vean. Y ustedes enviaron sus nombres, compártanos sus tarjetas de embarque virtual en nuestras redes sociales. Hay otro elemento que ha sido diseñado solo para esta misión y que guarda un simbolismo especial, el parche de la misión. Aquí lo vemos en pantalla. La tripulación diseñó esta insignia y la reveló en abril de 2025. Aquí la Luna representa el destino de nuestra exploración, centrada en el descubrimiento de lo desconocido. La Tierra representa nuestro hogar y la perspectiva que obtenemos cuando miramos hacia el planeta que compartimos. La órbita de la Luna alrededor de la Tierra destaca las misiones que han permitido a la NASA establecer como objetivo esta presencia a largo plazo en la Luna y más adelante en Marte. Luis, ¿qué te parece esta insignia?
Mira, pues me encanta tanto, Noelia, que siempre lo traigo puesto. Tengo muchas prendas con este parche y tiene un mensaje muy significativo, que usaran la letra A de Artemis y los 2 números romanos, el número 2, para ponerlos juntos y decir como diciendo, eso es en inglés, todos. Este es un mensaje que ellos quieren mandar, que todos vamos a la Luna, todo el mundo va con ellos.
Totalmente. Y los 4 astronautas de Artemis II ya están extremadamente familiarizados con la nave espacial Orion, a la que han llamado Integrity o Integridad en español. Luis, tú tuviste la oportunidad de ingresar a la nave como parte de tu trabajo. Más allá del aspecto técnico, ¿qué te hizo sentir entrar en este vehículo que está por hacer historia?
Sí, mira, entré a la nave varias veces cuando estaba en proceso. Y bueno, no tenía todos los sistemas que vimos hace rato ya con la tripulación en ella, pero yo sabía que estaba en una nave espacial que iba a hacer historia, y verla ahorita ahí es algo especial. Pero al mismo tiempo te digo que no es muy grande, es más o menos del tamaño de 2 minivans juntas, y lo que estaba yo pensando es que estar ahí 10 días con otras 3 personas sin poder salir, pues de veras que necesitas preparación para hacer eso.
Realmente que sería toda una experiencia. Sí. Y hace varios meses conversamos contigo, Luis, para aprender más acerca de esta nave espacial y tu trabajo con ella. Veamos.
La misión de Artemis II es muy importante porque la misión de Artemis I no tenía tripulación. Esta nueva misión incluye astronautas y una tripulación, y nos da una oportunidad de hacer pruebas en todos los sistemas que se han añadido. Soy subgerente del módulo de tripulación y del módulo de servicio del programa de Orión. En ese cargo, las responsabilidades más importantes es el diseño, la fabricación y la prueba de todos los componentes que se integran al parte de Orion. Tenemos ingenieros en diferentes centros de la NASA y somos encargados de la producción de la nave que esté lista para apoyar todas las funciones necesarias en la misión. Orion es la nave espacial que tiene más capacidad que ninguna otra nave. Tiene sistemas que pueden tener 4 tripulantes y llevarlos a la Luna, regresarlos con una velocidad alta después del regreso de la Luna.
El modo de la tripulación tiene sistemas de apoyo vital y hay sistemas de navegación para controlar la nave, y hay otros sistemas también como los inodoros, que es un sistema nuevo, sistemas para calentar su comida y tener agua potable. El módulo de servicio está construido por la Agencia Espacial Europea. Tiene los sistemas de propulsión, los sistemas de oxígeno, nitrógeno, tanques de agua y sistemas eléctricos que son vitales para la ejecución de la misión de Artemis II. Después del lanzamiento, tengo la gran oportunidad de estar en el barco de recuperación en el Pacífico con la Armada de Estados Unidos y ser parte de ese equipo que va a recuperar la nave después de completar la misión y el aterrizaje en el Pacífico, y empezar las investigaciones y las evaluaciones del vehículo después de que regrese de esa misión.
Y gracias a la nave espacial Orion, los astronautas de Artemis II van a tener acceso a vistas espectaculares durante su viaje. Pero este vuelo espacial es muchísimo más que un paseo de otro mundo. Es una oportunidad única para llevar a cabo investigaciones científicas. Por ejemplo, los miembros de la tripulación de Artemis II serán sujetos de estudio para ayudar a nuestros científicos a comprender mejor cómo el entorno del espacio afecta al cuerpo humano. En este video les cuento más sobre la ciencia a bordo de Artemis II. Veamos. Artemis II es el primer vuelo tripulado de la campaña Artemis. 4 astronautas orbitarán la Luna a bordo de la nave espacial Orion y luego regresarán a la Tierra. Pero no se trata solo de un vuelo de prueba. También estaremos llevando a cabo una gran labor científica que allanará el camino para futuras exploraciones con seres humanos en la Luna y en Marte. Durante Artemis II realizaremos una campaña de investigación y ciencia muy emocionante. Esta nos ayudará a comprender el entorno del espacio profundo y cómo este afecta a nuestros astronautas, nuestros sistemas y la vida en general. Y vamos a contemplar de cerca el lado lejano de la Luna, por primera vez en 50 años. Echemos un vistazo a algunos de los experimentos científicos que volarán a bordo de Artemis II.
El programa de investigación sobre seres humanos incluye 3 estudios dentro de la misión de Artemis II, medidas estándar, que se enfoca en la salud y cómo se ve afectada utilizando una variedad de medidas como por ejemplo muestras de sangre, de saliva, pruebas psicológicas y el equilibrio, biomarcadores inmunológicos que estudia nuestro sistema inmunológico utilizando y analizando la saliva seca preservada en un papel especial para poder examinar las hormonas del estrés, el ADN viral, y Archer, un estudio que se enfoca en el sueño, el rendimiento y el movimiento de los astronautas para poder ver cómo ellos están desenvolviendo en un entorno tan confinado durante toda su misión. Estos 3 estudios nos van a ofrecer una oportunidad sin precedentes para nosotros poder entender cómo se ve afectada la salud y el rendimiento humano al viajar al espacio profundo.
Pero eso no es todo. Los astronautas de Artemis II también participarán en un experimento para estudiar cómo reaccionan sus células ante los factores estresantes del espacio profundo. El estudio se denomina AVATAR, por las siglas en inglés de Respuesta Análoga de Tejidos Virtuales de Astronautas, y utiliza una nueva tecnología de vanguardia, la de órgano en un chip. Recogeremos muestras de cada uno de los astronautas y fabricaremos órganos en un chip a partir de los mismos astronautas. Así, cada miembro de la tripulación tendrá su propio avatar a bordo. Mediante estos modelos de órganos en un chip, podremos evaluar los efectos de la radiación del espacio profundo y el entorno de microgravedad en nuestros astronautas. Esto nos ayudará a prepararnos para futuras misiones tripuladas a la Luna y a Marte, al tiempo que contribuirá al avance de la medicina aquí a la Tierra. Pero la investigación del cuerpo humano no es la única que tendrá lugar a bordo. Nuestros astronautas también recopilarán datos científicos de la Luna y pondremos a prueba las operaciones de las misiones científicas y su integración en el control de vuelo.
Hay mucho que aprender sobre la Luna, en nuestro vecino celestial más cercano. La tripulación va a estar haciendo observaciones. Esas observaciones son bien importantes para científicos alrededor del mundo. Esas observaciones serán fotografías con cámaras en la mano, serán anotaciones, serán dibujos y también serán notas de voz. Se van a estar grabando la voz y van a estar describiendo todo lo que vean en la superficie de la Luna. Los astronautas estarán trabajando como científicos. Tenemos astronautas, pero también científicos aplicando esa ciencia que estudiaron aquí en la Tierra y también adquiriendo datos, toma de datos importantes que nos ayuden a entender cómo se forma la Luna, preguntas generales sobre la Luna y también ayudarnos a próximas futuras misiones.
Al igual que Artemis I, Artemis II también contará con un conjunto de sensores de radiación dentro de la cápsula Orion. El objetivo es que podamos comprender y apreciar plenamente el entorno de radiación que los astronautas y sus avatares van a experimentar en este viaje de 10 días alrededor de la Luna. A bordo del cohete Sistema de Lanzamiento Espacial de Artemis II, también viajarán 4 CubeSats de países socios. Estos satélites del tamaño de una caja de zapatos serán liberados de la cápsula Orion y realizarán sus propias investigaciones, que complementarán las futuras misiones de Artemis. Mientras nos preparamos para enviar seres humanos a la Luna y más adelante a Marte, la ciencia es un pilar fundamental que hará posible la exploración futura. Vamos, Artemis. Luis, cuéntanos más acerca de estos pequeños satélites, los CubeSats, ¿no? ¿Dónde van a estar colocados?
Mira, estos satélites, ya después de que se separa lo que es la nave del cohete, están integrados en la parte superior, en la tapa superior del cohete. Después de la separación, esos son liberados y cada uno de esos satélites mini CubeSats se van a su propia órbita para estar transmitiendo información a los científicos en la Tierra. Esos CubeSats se quedan en el espacio. No son como la nave que ves aquí que va a reingresar a la Tierra. Entonces, eso es la diferencia entre los dos.
Bien, y si bien los objetivos de estos satélites no guardan relación con los objetivos de la misión Artemis II, sí nos pueden ayudar a mejorar nuestra comprensión del entorno espacial. Cada uno de esos 4 CubeSats fue desarrollado por una agencia espacial diferente. La Comisión Nacional de Actividades Espaciales de Argentina, la CONAE, la Administración Aeroespacial de Corea del Sur, la Agencia Espacial Saudita y la Agencia Espacial Alemana. Ahora estamos a cerca de 40 minutos del lanzamiento y Luis, nos siguen llegando preguntas de la audiencia.
Sí, claro.
¿Estás listo?
Listo.
Bueno, aquí un usuario de Instagram pregunta ¿qué parte de la nave Orion ha sido la más difícil de diseñar?
Mira, sin duda alguna que es el módulo de tripulación, que es esta parte de la nave. Ese sistema, este módulo tiene muchos sistemas. Tiene el sistema de navegación, el sistema de sustento vital, y la cosa que lo hace un poquito más complicado es que tenemos que interactuar con los astronautas. Y muchas veces cuando estábamos diseñando las pantallas de control, cada uno tenía su preferencia de cómo se vieran todos los sistemas. Entonces eso requirió un poquito más de tiempo. Y también el sistema de inodoro, que es algo un poquito más complicado. Todo vive en esta parte. Entonces, sin duda, el módulo de tripulación es el más complicado.
Y un gran desafío además en comparación con Artemis I, que no llevaba tripulación.
Sí, esa
a bordo.
es la diferencia de esta nave, que lleva una tripulación y todos los sistemas para el sustento vital.
Bien, bueno, tenemos otro usuario de Instagram que primero nos manda saludos desde Ecuador y te pregunta cómo funciona el sistema de energía de la nave camino a la Luna.
Sí, mira, ya que estemos en el espacio, había mencionado hace ratito que estos paneles se están abriendo en el espacio y capturan la energía del sol, la convierten en energía eléctrica y suplementan todo el sistema. También tenemos 4 baterías muy grandes que se usan cuando la nave no está expuesta al sol. Entonces esas baterías entran y producen y distribuyen la energía necesaria para todos los sistemas.
Muy bien. Bueno, Andrés desde España nos manda también sus saludos y pregunta si es cierto que algunos de los motores R25 ya han sido usados en los transbordadores espaciales.
Sí, bueno, esos motores que estás hablando están en la parte del cohete, no los tengo aquí, pero sí, esos son los mismos motores que se usó en el transbordador espacial Space Shuttle y eran reusados. Entonces hay una línea de motores que se están reusando para estas misiones.
Muy bien. Néstor Cano te dice, hola Luis, ¿cómo se medirán los niveles de radiación solar dentro de Orion?
Sí, mira, esta nave está diseñada con protección de radiación, porque una de las cosas que cuando vamos más allá del espacio cerca de la Tierra ya no tenemos la protección de los campos
de la magnetosfera.
Sí, magnetosfera, muy bien. Entonces ya cuando salimos y nos acercamos más a la Luna puede haber radiación, rayos de tormentas de radiación que vienen del Sol. Esta nave viene con más protección que lo que es la nave Apolo. También hay instrumentos que viene, por cierto, de la compañía, una compañía alemana. Entonces, también se está mandando la señal diciendo si hay alguna tormenta que viene, y al mismo tiempo cada uno de los astronautas tiene dosímetros que los van a tener puestos por los 10 días de esta misión, y si acaso hubiera una tormenta que no era esperada, hay un protocolo que se van al centro de la nave y se protegen con materiales que están en la nave. el objetivo es tener suficiente material entre la línea de radiación y los cuerpos. Entre más material se pongas entre esas dos áreas, más protección tienen los astronautas.
Entendido. Otro usuario nos pregunta si van a aterrizar a la Luna y si no es así, ¿cuál es el objetivo de la misión?
Mira, esta misión no va a aterrizar en la Luna, va a ser un sobrevuelo por el lado lejano de la Luna, y los objetivos es obtener mucha información y del funcionamiento de todos los sistemas que están volando por primera vez o segunda vez, y también el control de la nave. Vamos a hacer una prueba de proximidad con la etapa superior del cohete. Ya después de que se separe, nos vamos a acercar a ella de 300 metros a aproximadamente 10 metros. Y vamos a retirarnos una vez más y acercarnos, así para entender con mucha fidelidad el control de la nave. Cuando uno manda una señal por manual, hay motores propulsores que se ven aquí en este modelo, que se encenderán y van a hacer la rotación de la nave. Entonces queremos ver si los modelos que tenemos para hacer la programación de las futuras misiones tienen alta fidelidad, y ya con un experimento como un objetivo en el espacio no hay comparación. Tener esa información y basar nuestros modelos en esa información sería muy, muy importante y muy crítico. Todos estos objetivos nos van a informar al siguiente paso de la siguiente misión.
Bueno, y los astronautas van a estar, como decía, sobrevolando el lado lejano de la Luna con sus cámaras, describiendo lo que ven. Contanos, por favor, ¿qué es lo que van a estar observando? Sí, mira, primero que nada te voy a mencionar también que una forma de imaginarte del tamaño que van a ver la Luna es como tener una pelota de baloncesto, estirar tu brazo, y ese es el tamaño que van a ver toda la órbita. Y están en muchas conversaciones con los científicos de la Luna, porque cada día que lanzamos cambia un poquito los objetivos. Uno de los objetivos que tienen precisamente es ver el color de los materiales que están del lado, porque una cosa, no sé si ya le habíamos mencionado, nunca ha habido ojos viendo ese lado del lado lejano de la Luna. Ha habido satélites, pero ojos humanos no. Es la primera vez. O sea que saben un poquito de geología también, o bastante. Mini geólogos. ¿Qué más les gustaría saber? Mándanos tu pregunta etiquetando en nuestras redes sociales y no olvides seguirnos en todas nuestras plataformas. Haremos lo mejor posible para responderlas en vivo o en nuestras redes. También cuéntanos en comentarios desde dónde nos están mirando y con quién. Durante el vuelo de Artemis II, la nave espacial Orion y nuestro centro de control de misión en Houston se van a estar comunicando constantemente. Luis, ¿nos puedes contar acerca de cómo son posibles estas comunicaciones? Claro que sí. Mira, la NASA usa la red del espacio profundo, que está basada en 3 localidades con antenas enormes de aproximadamente 70 metros de diámetro. Hay una en España, está otra en California y otra en Australia. Entonces están en lugares estratégicos para tener siempre comunicación directa con la nave cuando se va lejos de la Tierra. Y digo casi siempre porque ya sabemos, va a estar programado que cuando pase la nave Orion por el lado lejano de la Luna, no va a haber comunicación directa. Va a ser aproximadamente 40 minutos sin comunicación. Entonces los astronautas van a tener 40 minutos de silencio sin que nadie los moleste, para observar y disfrutar la visión de la Luna y completar los objetivos que los científicos que ya han designado. Una pausa en las comunicaciones que además está planeada, anticipada, sí. Y van a estar tomando sus fotos, aprovechando para hacer todas estas observaciones. Callado, de silencio, sí. Y como decíamos, durante los 10 días de vuelo de Artemis II, no solo los astronautas a bordo van a estar muy ocupados. El centro de control de la misión en nuestro centro Johnson en Houston liderará las operaciones de la misión. Luis, cuéntanos, ¿cuál será tu rol desde Johnson durante esta prueba de vuelo? Mira, después de este vuelo, si todo sale exitoso, me voy directo al Centro Espacial de Houston, ahí en el Johnson Space Center. Voy a estar ahí 2 días y de ahí me tengo que viajar a las costas, a San Diego, porque tengo el privilegio de estar con el buque de la Marina, que va a encargarse de la recuperación de la nave después de la misión, después del amerizaje en del día 10 de esta misión. Entonces vamos a recuperar esa nave después de extraer a los astronautas, lo vamos a poner en el buque y vamos a empezar las evaluaciones de los sistemas después de la nave, de la misión de 10 días. Vamos a sacar los experimentos, cosas personales de los
los astronautas y por empezarlas a procesar mucha información y mandarla a Houston para que sea procesada un poco más y muchas imágenes que vamos a estar poniendo en las redes sociales y compartiendo con todo el mundo.
Qué emocionante ver a la nave espacial Orion enseguida de su regreso a la Tierra, además.
Sí.
Y bueno, estuvimos conversando, les cuento, hace un tiempo tuvimos la oportunidad de conversar con Liliana Villarreal, quien dirige las operaciones de aterrizaje y recuperación de Artemis. Veamos.
El momento que podría ser el más desafiante de la misión para nosotros es esperar el aterrizaje después de que el vehículo entre a la atmósfera. Yo lidero el equipo responsable de recuperar a la tripulación y la cápsula tras su amerizaje en el Océano Pacífico al regreso de su viaje alrededor de la Luna. En los últimos años, nuestro equipo ha estado desarrollando el equipo de apoyo terrestre, el marco conceptual de las operaciones y los procedimientos para garantizar el éxito. Mientras Orion ingresa a la atmósfera terrestre, la cápsula mantendrá a la tripulación a salvo a medida que disminuye la velocidad desde casi 25.000 millas por hora hasta unos 300 millas por hora. Y entonces su sistema de 11 paracaídas se desplegará en una secuencia precisa para ayudar a desacelerar la cápsula y la tripulación hasta una velocidad relativamente suave de 20 millas por hora para el amerizaje, a unos 60 millas de la costa de California. Una vez que sea seguro acercarse a la cápsula, los helicópteros y un equipo de buzos de la Marina en botes pequeños, junto con el equipo de líder de operaciones en aguas abiertas de la NASA, comenzarán a dirigirse a la cápsula. Luego, los buzos de la Marina evaluarán el entorno alrededor de la cápsula para asegurarse que no haya peligros presentes. Los equipos van a estabilizar a Orion antes de que la tripulación salga de la cápsula en mar abierto. Los buzos también instalarán una balsa inflable llamada el porche delantero debajo de la escotilla lateral de Orion para ayudar a la recuperación de los astronautas de la cápsula. Cuando los 4 miembros de la tripulación están fuera de la cápsula, el porche delantero será reposicionado para permitir que los astronautas sean subidos individualmente a un helicóptero y llevados al buque. Se usarán 2 helicópteros para recuperar a la tripulación. Una vez en el buque, los astronautas serán llevados a un compartimiento de cuidados médicos para recibir una evaluación posterior a la misión, antes de volar en helicóptero desde el barco de regreso a la costa o luego a Centro Johnson. Con la tripulación a salvo fuera de la cápsula, los equipos trabajarán en el remolque de Orion hasta la cubierta inundable del buque. Los buzos de la Marina asegurarán un sistema de líneas a la cápsula a través de varios puntos de conexión en un anillo para ayudar a remolcar a Orion hasta el interior del buque. Después que Orion esté en su soporte, se vaciará el agua de la cubierta inundable y después el buque comenzará su regreso a la base naval de San Diego. Por supuesto, este es un método de recuperación muy diferente al que utilizamos en las misiones del programa de Apolo, ya que este vehículo es más grande y pesado, por lo que lo hacemos a flotar dentro de un buque.
Un gran saludo a Lili Villarreal. Luis, nos contabas que tú también vas a estar allí en San Diego para las evaluaciones iniciales de la nave Orion, pero ¿qué sigue después? ¿Qué podemos aprender de esta Orion que nos va a ayudar para futuras misiones de Artemis?
Mira, aparte del sistema de sustento que mencioné hace rato, el sistema de navegación es muy importante. Ese sistema de navegación es crítico para después, las siguientes misiones, hacer un acoplamiento con las naves de aterrizaje. Entonces eso sería en el Artemis III. Y hay otros sistemas también que se van a usar para verificar el comportamiento de los cuerpos de los humanos. Hay mucha información que va a salir de esta misión que nos va a ayudar para las futuras misiones.
Vas a estar muy, muy ocupado entonces.
Mucha información que procesar, sí.
Muchas gracias, Luis. Y hace un rato veíamos cómo este vuelo de prueba también servirá para evaluar el impacto de la radiación espacial en Orion. Luis, ¿de qué manera nuestra nave espacial está preparada para proteger a la tripulación de la radiación espacial?
Sí, habíamos mencionado hace ratito que hay sistemas de alerta que están construidos por una compañía alemana y los dosímetros que trae cada uno de los astronautas, y también hay paredes como el área del inodoro, donde hay un poco de material más grueso. Es un área donde se refugiarían si hubiera una tormenta solar que no se espera, que trae más radiación. Se protegerían con esto y con equipo que ya está incluido en la nave.
Y desde tierra, durante el vuelo de Artemis II, la NASA y la Administración Oceánica y Atmosférica, o la NOAA, estarán trabajando juntas para monitorear constantemente ese estado del tiempo, ¿no?, en el entorno de la Tierra y la Luna, que está determinado principalmente por nuestro Sol. En esta colaboración participan el Grupo de Análisis de Radiación Espacial de nuestro Centro Johnson y la Oficina de Análisis de Meteorología Espacial Moon to Mars de nuestro Centro Goddard. Vayamos ahora a una nueva actualización con Hamilton Fernández.
Muchas gracias, Noelia. Como habíamos anticipado, en estos momentos nos encontramos dentro de otra pausa del conteo. Esta pausa ha comenzado a los T-30 minutos y es una pausa totalmente planificada. Esta pausa le provee a todo el equipo de lanzamiento una última oportunidad de poder hacer todas sus verificaciones finales antes de entrar en el conteo final. Los ingenieros revisan los sistemas de propulsión, aviónica, comunicaciones, sistemas de navegación, todas las presiones y temperaturas y el estado de la cápsula Orion. Aquí también se ejecuta una revisión meteorológica crítica donde se evalúa los vientos de superficie, los vientos de altura, las nubes y la electricidad atmosférica. Si las condiciones climáticas no cumplen con todos los requisitos para el lanzamiento, esta pausa se puede extender. Por ejemplo, el lanzamiento no procede si la velocidad máxima del viento en el momento del despegue está por encima de 54 kilómetros por hora a una altitud de 40 metros, y tampoco procede si están por encima de 72 kilómetros por hora a una altitud de 140 metros. El director de pruebas de NASA es quien garantiza que todo esté listo para entrar en la fase automática del conteo. Bueno, y justo ahora el director de pruebas de NASA ha dado su autorización para salir de la pausa del conteo. Esto significa que el conteo puede reanudarse. Y Noelia, ya se respira una concentración absoluta en el centro de control de lanzamiento aquí en Kennedy. La cuenta regresiva avanza y nuestros corazones se aceleran. Artemis II está a punto de despegar. Regresamos contigo, Noelia.
Muchas gracias, Hamilton. Estas actualizaciones nos llegan en primer lugar desde el Centro de Control de Lanzamiento aquí en nuestro Centro Espacial Kennedy. Allí es donde los directores de lanzamiento dan la orden final para el despegue de las diferentes misiones. Tuvimos la oportunidad de aprender más sobre lo que sucede en el detrás de escenas con Mari Forrestel, asistente técnica de la directora de lanzamiento de Artemis. Echemos un vistazo.
Ser parte de este programa es un sueño hecho realidad. Es muy grande, es más grande que todos nosotros. Y explorar el universo y explorar el espacio es parte de nuestra humanidad. Así que es una emoción ser parte de eso. Yo, como la asistente técnica de Charlie Blackwell Thompson, la directora de lanzamiento, voy a estar en la misma sala con ella, bien emocionante, y voy a estar apoyándola en todas partes de la operación ese día, de la cuenta regresiva, que es muy larga, y apoyo en todos los aspectos de las operaciones, antes del lanzamiento y después del lanzamiento. Vamos hacia la Luna, es muy complejo, la ventana se abre y se cierra a la Luna diferentes partes del mes. Es un día muy largo porque no solamente es muy complejo como hacemos todas las operaciones de este cohete, que es uno de los cohetes más grandes del mundo. La ventana es casi 2 horas que tienes el chance de ir a la Luna. Así que es un día muy largo, un día muy emocionante y hay mucho trabajo. En los sistemas terrestres, una de las capacidades que tenemos nueva en Artemis II es que tenemos adición de un tanque grandísimo de casi 1.4 millones de galones de hidrógeno líquido para poder ayudarnos a tener más atentos de lanzar en ese periodo que les estaba explicando a ir a la Luna, que tenemos como 4 o 5 días nada más cada mes para poder ir. Mantener 4 personas vivas en una nave espacial como Orion es difícil, así que todos los sistemas que remueven el dióxido de carbono, que producen oxígeno, que tienen agua, que tienen el baño para los astronautas poder ir, todos son nuevos y todos tienen que estar funcionando perfectamente si queremos irnos de la Tierra. Cuando el lanzamiento ya ocurre, para mí estamos apoyando ahora a Houston, Mission Control. Ellos están encargados de manejar la misión desde que el cohete lanza. Y también es apoyar
presentar a nuestra directora de recuperación aquí en EGS, en Kennedy Space Center, Lily Villarreal. Ella está encargada y responsable de manejar toda la recuperación de esa cápsula cuando regrese a la Tierra. Así que estamos más en un papel de apoyar a otros equipos y también empezar las preparatorias para Artemis 3. Ya ese trabajo está empezando encima de Artemis 2, así que cuando ese cohete se lance y cuando esos astronautas regresen a la Tierra, vamos a seguir. Nada de relajar, tenemos Artemis 3 que prepararnos, así que hay mucho trabajo. Para nosotros este programa es nuevo, ¿verdad? Así que muchos de nosotros que estamos vivos hoy en día no pudimos vivir y disfrutar del programa Apollo, así que este es nuestro tiempo para explorar la Luna. Y Artemis es diferente, no solamente vamos a regresar a la Luna, vamos a quedarnos en la Luna, así que esto es el principio de algo muy grande para la humanidad.
Un gran saludo a Mari Forrestel, que en este momento se encuentra muy cerca de nosotros en el Centro de Control de Lanzamiento, sin dudas con muchísimo trabajo. Artemis II tiene Artemis tiene el objetivo principal de instalar una presencia sostenida en la Luna y de llevar misiones con seres humanos a Marte en el futuro. Y estamos en el comienzo de este programa de exploración.
Sí, mira, arrancamos en el 2022 con Artemis I, que fue una misión alrededor de la Luna sin tripulación y probamos muchos sistemas. En esta misión, como hablamos, es una misión con tripulación que nos va a dar mucha información de todos los sistemas nuevos. Artemis 3 será en el 2027 y es una misión en órbita baja, donde nos va a permitir hacer un acoplamiento con las naves comerciales de aterrizaje. Y Artemis 4 es la misión que nos llevaría a poner humanos, astronautas en la superficie de la Luna.
Exactamente, recordemos que esta vez estamos regresando a la Luna para quedarnos y eso significa que también vamos a crear una base lunar, pero lo vamos a ir haciendo paso a paso. Primero enviaremos rovers e instrumentos para aprender cómo movernos y operar en la superficie lunar. Luego, con todo lo aprendido, comenzaremos a construir una infraestructura donde nuestros astronautas puedan trabajar de forma regular, contando además con la ayuda de países socios como Japón. Y finalmente, nuestra gran meta, dejar de hacer visitas esporádicas a la Luna, para quedarnos en ella de forma permanente, con hábitats reales, vehículos especiales desarrollados junto a agencias espaciales socias y otros colaboradores internacionales. Y la persona que recientemente fue nombrada para liderar ese programa de una base lunar es nuestro ingeniero Carlos García Galán. Carlos también es miembro del equipo de gestión de Artemis II y hace unos meses conversábamos con él sobre este rol. Veamos.
La campaña Artemis es la primera vez en la que vamos a mandar a 4 humanos a pasar por la Luna. Vamos a mandarlos más lejos que hemos ido nunca, incluso durante las misiones Apolo. Entonces me parece que es algo histórico. El equipo de gestión de la misión Artemis II, en la que yo participo, es un grupo de líderes de la agencia, de la NASA, que son responsables de tomar decisiones durante la cuenta atrás, hacia el lanzamiento y después durante la misión. Por ejemplo, en la cuenta atrás, antes de mandar la tripulación al cohete, vamos a evaluar el tiempo que hace, cuáles son el estatus de los sistemas del cohete y de la nave Orión, y vamos a tomar la decisión de mandar a los astronautas o no allí. Después, poner combustible es otra decisión que nosotros autorizamos. El primer día de la misión empezaremos una órbita de 24 horas alrededor de la Tierra, en la que queremos evaluar que todos los sistemas están bien para poder mandar a los astronautas a la Luna, que es un viaje de varios días. Si hay algún fallo, por ejemplo, tomaremos la decisión si queremos seguir con el plan de mandar a los astronautas a la Luna o hacer alguna otra misión alternativa alrededor de la Tierra. Bueno, yo en Artemis he estado trabajando desde el principio casi, más o menos 15 años. Empecé trabajando en el desarrollo de la nave Orión, después me pasé más a lo que es la integración de la nave y después terminé en Orión manejando el equipo que hace la integración del módulo de servicio europeo. En Artemis, llegar a la Luna es realmente solo el primer paso. O sea, queremos llegar, establecer bases, desarrollar tecnologías, aprender a hacer operaciones en el espacio profundo permanentemente, sosteniblemente, para aprender todo lo que necesitamos para ir a Marte. Yo creo que vamos a aprender cosas que no lo hemos hecho nunca. Eso es ahora mismo ciencia ficción y lo vamos a hacer realidad.
Un gran saludo a nuestro colega Carlos García Galán y muchas felicidades por el nuevo cargo. Vayamos ahora a las últimas actualizaciones del lanzamiento.
Gracias, Noelia. En los próximos momentos, la directora de lanzamiento Charlie Blackwell Thompson va a estar conduciendo su encuesta final a todos los ingenieros y expertos que están monitoreando cada uno de los sistemas del cohete SLS. Charlie es la primera mujer en ejercer esa función y fue la directora de lanzamiento también para Artemis I. Ella tiene la enorme responsabilidad de liderar todas las operaciones de la cuenta regresiva, supervisando cada paso del proceso previo al lanzamiento. Noelia, si surgieran problemas, la NASA podría detener el proceso de conteo, retroceder el reloj e intentar solucionar el inconveniente para hacer otro intento de despegue el mismo día. Un reinicio de este tipo tomaría unos 75 minutos. Mientras quede al menos esa cantidad de tiempo en la ventana de lanzamiento y el reloj no haya pasado los T-33 segundos, será posible un segundo intento de despegue. En estos momentos, los astronautas están cerrando las vísceras de sus cascos. Este paso es importante para ellos porque crea un sistema hermético dentro de sus trajes de astronauta. Se regula la presión interna del traje y se activa el flujo de oxígeno independiente dentro de los trajes. Esto asegura que sigan respirando aire seguro durante el ascenso. Una vez cerradas las vísceras, los astronautas ya no dependen de micrófonos ambientales en la cabina. Usan los micrófonos internos del casco, lo que mejora la claridad durante los momentos más ruidosos del lanzamiento. Y Noelia, algo más que quiero mencionar es que justo antes de que los motores se enciendan, van a ver que se activa el sistema de supresión acústica. Esto lo van a ver como una enorme descarga de agua, con un flujo de 4 millones de litros por minuto. Es diseñada para absorber el sonido y las vibraciones del cohete según va despegando. También protege la plataforma del calor intenso de los motores. Sin este sistema, el ruido del cohete SLS sería tan intenso que podría dañar el cohete mismo y la plataforma. Regresamos contigo, Noelia.
Muchas gracias, Hamilton. Y ya falta muy poco. El mundo entero está pendiente del lanzamiento de hoy, incluyendo a nuestros colegas de la NASA que quisieron compartir sus mensajes de buenos deseos para esta noche. Aquí algunos de ellos.
Saludos, tripulación de Artemis II.
Hola Reed, Victor, Cristina y Jeremy.
Reed, Victor, Cristina y Jeremy, hola y que sea una gran misión alrededor de la Luna.
Les deseo un viaje maravilloso y seguro.
Desde la oficina de planificación de la misión estaremos siguiendo sus objetivos de prueba de vuelo. ¡Feliz viaje!
Les deseo un viaje seguro y una misión exitosa.
Les deseo el mejor de los éxitos en nuestra misión y buen retorno a casa.
Tus amigos en JPL, que tengan buen viaje a la Luna. Después te esperamos en Marte.
Desde el ROI Mars Exploration Analog en JSC, Artemis II nos recuerda que nacimos para explorar. Gracias a ustedes hoy la humanidad vuelve a soñar en grande. Buena suerte, Artemis II.
Desde la antena 56 de la Estación Espacial de Madrid, estamos preparados para apoyar a los tripulantes de la misión
Artemis II. ¡Nos vamos a la Luna!
Enhorabuena a toda la tripulación de Artemis II, a todos los que lo han hecho posible y los que lo están haciendo posible. Enhorabuena, muchas gracias y mucha suerte. Ciencia a través de la exploración. Vamos, Artemis II.
Desde los laboratorios de Kennedy Space Center. ¡Vamos, Artemis!
Saludos desde Houston, Texas, hasta la Luna Artemis II.
Llegó el día tan soñado. Vayan, vengan, no se detengan y saluden la Luna por mí. ¡Go, Artemis!
Y les deseo mucho éxito y bendiciones.
Espero que tengan ustedes y su grupo de operaciones mucho éxito en esta misión.
Las misiones de meteorología espacial de la NOAA están dedicadas para proveer los datos y las observaciones críticas para pronosticar los eventos solares y proteger nuestra nación y los astronautas de Artemis. ¡Vamos, Artemis!
Saludos, Artemis, desde Goddard Space Flight Center.
Artemis, ¿están listos para el lanzamiento? Porque nosotros ya lo estamos.
3, 2, 1, boosters in ignition. And lift off.
Desde la Tierra hasta la Luna los estamos apoyando. Vamos, Artemis II.
No podríamos estar más orgullosos de ser parte de la misión de Artemis II.
¡En buena suerte!
Vamos, Artemis.
Go, Artemis, and Godspeed.
Nos vemos en Houston, Artemis II.
¡Vamos, Artemis!
Vamos Artemis.
Vamos Artemis.
Qué video tan emocionante. Luis, ¿tienes tú también un mensaje para la tripulación y todos los equipos que han hecho posible Artemis II?
Sí, Noelia, mira, este es el fruto de nuestro esfuerzo que ha sido un largo plazo, lleno de difíciles retos que solucionamos para llegar a este día. Ahora vamos a mostrar al mundo que esto es posible cuando nos ponemos nuestra energía y nuestro enfoque en grandes metas. Y este es el siguiente paso de la humanidad para la exploración del espacio. A Reed, Victor, Cristina y Jeremy, vamos a estar con ustedes cada segundo. Disfruten su misión y nos vemos en 10 días. Vamos, Artemis.
Me sumo a ese saludo a la tripulación. Gracias por representarnos a todos en esta misión y buen viaje. Y ahora sí, el momento que todos hemos estado esperando. Pasamos al conteo final del lanzamiento de la misión Artemis II con 4 astronautas a bordo que iniciarán un viaje de 10 días que los llevará a la órbita de la Luna. Hamilton, adelante.
Muchas gracias, Noelia. Bueno, y acabamos de escuchar de la directora de lanzamiento que estamos listos para proceder con el lanzamiento. We are go for launch. Sin embargo, mientras vamos a entrar a los T-10 minutos, vamos a esperar tener una de esas pausas programadas y esa pausa va a durar unos 30 minutos. Así que vamos a escuchar el Tech Feed para obtener más información.
To get to RT0 today. So when we get to about 50 seconds from now, we'll extend that hold.
CVSE OTC. CVSE 400-290, looking to verify that we are configured for Ascent.
Yep, give me about 2 more minutes. I'm going to start CMA2 streaming.
Copy.
NTD COSE hold requested.
Copy that.
I have an LCC violation of O-CT-004, S-band transponder anomaly. This was a transient LCC violation, so transponder 1 had a demodulated SNR estimate that went down to 2 dBm when it should have been between 10 and 13. It is now back up to 12, but we did lose that for just a moment. It does not appear that we lost our bit sync or carrier lock, which would be indicative that we lost our lock with the vehicle. So at this point, recommendation would still be go. However, we do have a pre-planned contingency procedure if we want to look at that. But again, this is transient, so we're back in a nominal range.
All right, let's see, LPE NTD.
Yeah, we're not seeing that hit. So I guess the question for COSE, was that less than 3 samples? Is that below our persistence?
Stand by. Let me look. It did look like it did persist for several seconds on mine, but let me take a look at the number of samples.
Could I get a repeat on the affected LCC, please?
Yes, ma'am. That's going to be O-CT-004.
Thank you.
Yeah, us taking a look at the data right here, looks like that was a single sample.
Yeah, copy that. RFTS does report that they also lost lock for about 5 seconds. So I would love to ask KUS and see if they also lost lock with the vehicle for any extended amount of period.
And COSE, while we're doing that, these are 1/10 hertz measurements, correct? So we would have had to lose it for over 10 seconds to get a second sample?
Yes, sir, that's correct. It is 1/10 hertz.
Yeah, so from our perspective, the allowance is effectively up to 30 seconds, up to 3 samples based on the 1/10 hertz. This is not an LCC violation, I believe.
Yes, sir, I would agree with that at this point. Copy that.
We're checking with KUS on 232. I don't think they have 212 access. We're trying to verify, but it sounds like they have a loss of lock as well. About 2 seconds.
Okay. And I guess for both KUS and COSE, do we have lock now?
That's affirmed. We do have a lock for COSE.
Yeah, so from the integration console perspective, we did have a temporary loss there within the allowable, and per the requirement, let's go.
And this is Houston Flight. We have lock and we have good telemetry here in GSE.
And KUS is reported to they have good lock now. So with all of that, OSC, then are we in a go configuration per your LCC?
Yes, sir. Recommendation would be go.
Right. LP, you concur with that?
Yes, sir. LP concurs go.
And Launch Director?
Yes, sir. Launch Director concurs go.
All right, and I'm going to go ahead and just verify everybody has everything else complete, Launch Director, and if we do, we'll be ready to pick up the poll at that time, unless there's something else that you're aware of.
No, sir. Let's verify all our work is complete, and I would like one last check of our constraints list.
All right, let's see. OTC, are you still waiting for ComConfig, or are you?
That is affirmed, sir.
Okay, is that your only open item?
Yeah, OTC, this is CVSC. That 400 step 290 is complete.
Copy.
Okay, so OTC, you're complete with all of your work?
That's affirmed.
All right, copy that. STC?
STC is complete.
And GTC?
GTC is complete.
Okay, excellent. All right, and LPE, just want to verify we have no open constraints at this time.
No open constraints. We have a clear board, sir.
Okay, tracking the same here. And Launch Director, with that, we are clear and ready to pick up the launch readiness poll with your go.
All right, sir. I am go for the poll.
All right. And for all personnel, this is the NTD conducting the Artemis II launch readiness check. Verify ready to resume count and go for launch. OTC.
OTC is go.
STC.
STC is go.
GTC.
C's go.
MCO.
TO's go.
Safety Console.
The Safety Console is go.
LPE.
LPE's go.
RTD.
RTD's go.
Houston Flight.
Houston Flight is go.
ROC.
ROC is go.
And CDR.
Crew is go.
Copy that. Thank you, Reed. And Launch Director, NTD, our launch team is ready to proceed at this time.
All right, NTD, I copy all. At this time, I'll perform my poll. Attention on the net. This is the Launch Director performing the final poll for launch. Verify no constraints and go for launch. EGS, Program Chief Engineer.
Artemis Chief Engineers are go.
Copy, thank you. EGS, Chief Safety Officer.
The Artemis CSOs are go.
Copy, thank you. Range Weather.
Launch weather is go.
Thank you, LWO. And Artemis MMT Chair.
MMT's go.
Thank you, John. And Integrity Launch Director.
Good to hear your voice, Charlie. PLT.
Thank you, Charlie. This is Victor. We are going for our families.
MS1.
This is Christina. We are going for our teammates.
MS2.
This is Jeremy. We are going for all humanity.
All right, Charlie, your Artemis II crew is go for launch. Full send.
I copy that. Reed, Victor, Christina, and Jeremy. On this historic mission, you take with you the heart of this Artemis team, the daring spirit of the American people and our partners across the globe, and the hopes and dreams of a new generation. Good luck. Godspeed, Artemis II. Let's go. And NTD Launch Director.
Go ahead, Launch Director.
Yes, sir. You have a go to proceed with countdown.
Copy that. I'll put it in work. CDR, NTD.
Go.
Figure risers and initiate short purge per your EPROC 10.1.1, steps 8 and 9.
Están listos para pick up their clock.
10.1.1, 8 and 9 going to work.
Copy. CVSC, NTD. Start and verify recordings of our Orion cameras.
Copy and work.
Thank you. RSR, NTD.
RSR.
All right, perform the booster ignition SNA arm rotation enable at this time, please.
RSR in work. Booster ignition SNA arm rotation enabled complete.
Copy that. Thank you.
Integrity crew, close and lock visors.
And ECL NTD will be waiting for your verification on the short purge.
ECL copies.
And for all personnel, once we get that short purge verification, we'll verify that we are clear to go, and then we'll proceed with the terminal count. ECL time estimate?
About a minute.
Copy.
NTD CCL 212, short purge initiation is verified.
All right, copy that, and we're verifying our constraints. All right, and we're clear from cutouts. And with that, we're going to resume the clock momentarily. And CGLS, you can resume the clock on your mark.
GLS copies. 3, 2, 1, mark. GLS mainline has been initiated.
T-minus 10 minutes and counting.
Bueno, saludos de nuevo. El conteo de la cuenta regresiva se ha renovado. Desde los 10 minutos en adelante, la computadora de vuelo del SLS toma control del conteo terminal, con los ingenieros siempre monitoreando listos para intervenir si fuera necesario. En estos momentos se están presurizando los tanques de hidrógeno y oxígeno líquido. También se están preparando para retraer los brazos del servicio de la torre que proveen electricidad, propelentes y comunicaciones uno por uno. Van a ver que durante el despegue los brazos que sostienen los umbilicales soltarán el cohete y van a girar en dirección de las agujas del reloj. En estos momentos nos estamos acercando a la retracción de la plataforma de acceso de la tripulación. Esta es la plataforma que los astronautas usaron para entrar en la nave espacial Orion. Una vez se retrae, ya no hay más acceso físico a la nave. La tripulación estará comprometida para el lanzamiento.
GLS is go for crew access arm retract.
Y ahí va, el brazo de acceso de la tripulación ahora se está retrayendo, un proceso que toma unos 90 segundos. Esto es una señal visible importante de que avanzamos profundamente en la fase final de las operaciones del lanzamiento. En estos momentos varias cosas van a suceder simultáneamente. Comienza la presurización de los tanques de la tapa central, se arman las cargas pirotécnicas para el ascenso de Orion, y Orion comienza a utilizar energía interna. Y también termina el reabastecimiento de hidrógeno líquido de la tapa central. En unos momentos el sistema de escape durante el lanzamiento se va a activar y esperamos que el director de prueba de NASA le informe esto al comandante de la tripulación, Reed Wiseman. Este sistema le da la capacidad a la tripulación de escapar si algo sale mal en la plataforma o durante el ascenso. Si algo fallara, su motor de escape se enciende con una fuerza brutal, arrancando la cápsula Orion del SLS en un instante. Mientras la aleja del peligro, tiene unos pequeños motores que la estabilizan y la guían hacia una trayectoria segura. Es como un guardián silencioso diseñado para actuar solo cuando todo lo demás falla. Y ahora se activa el sistema de terminación de vuelo, que lo conocemos como FTS por sus siglas en inglés. Esto es un sistema requerido que permite a la Fuerza Espacial destruir el cohete si se desvía hacia una zona con población. Obviamente, la activación del FTS con los astronautas todavía en el cohete sería un escenario extremo y muy improbable. La cápsula de Orion utilizaría su sistema de escape para evitar que la tripulación esté en el cohete si el FTS se activara.
GLS is go for FTS arm. GLS is go for LH2 high flow bleed check.
Bueno, y en unos momentos la unidad de energía auxiliar de la tapa central va a ser activada. Esto le proveerá fuerza hidráulica para poder mover los 4 motores RS-25 del cohete. Ahora puede proceder la prueba de control vectorial de los motores, que está pautada para los T-2 minutos y medio. Aquí es donde verán los motores moverse. Los tanques de oxígeno líquido en la etapa central y la etapa superior ya están reabastecidos. La nube blanca que se ve saliendo del cohete es causada por el oxígeno gaseoso superfrío que condensa la humedad en el aire al ser ventilado. Dentro de poco, esa ventilación de oxígeno líquido de la etapa central será cerrada.
GLS is go for purge sequence 4.
Y ahora comienza la secuencia de purga de la turbomaquinaria con helio, para que esté lista para el encendido de los motores principales RS-25. Y comienza la prueba de control vectorial de los motores. Ya ven cómo se mueven.
GLS is go for upper stage to internal power.
Y la etapa superior y los cohetes propulsores sólidos comienzan a utilizar energía de su batería interna. Y luego le sigue la etapa central también utilizando energía de su batería interna.
GLS is go for core stage to internal power.
Termina el reabastecimiento de hidrógeno líquido de la etapa superior. Y allí vemos el cohete majestuoso bajo un cielo despejado. Un día perfecto, una escena que parece hecha para este momento. Tenemos la luna llena que ilumina el horizonte. Ese es nuestro destino. Todo está en calma, todo está listo. En tan solo unos instantes, el SLS romperá el silencio rumbo al espacio.
GLS go for ALS.
Y ahora la computadora de vuelo de la etapa central inicia la secuencia automática de lanzamiento. El equipo de lanzamiento ya no puede reiniciar la cuenta regresiva. Si se detiene ahora, se termina el lanzamiento por hoy. En unos momentos vamos a ver el flujo de agua de supresión de sonido bajo la plataforma móvil.
GLS is go for core stage engine start.
Y los motores principales se van a encender a los t-6 segundos. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Y despegue, tenemos despegue. Artemis II despega con fuerza deslumbrante. Los astronautas Reed, Víctor, Cristina y Jeremy ascienden llevando los sueños de toda la humanidad, reabriendo el camino hacia la exploración de la Luna y hacia un futuro en el que nuestra presencia allí será permanente.
Integrity, AMT high.
Las lecturas indican que la presión en la cámara de combustión de todos los motores son normales. Estamos presenciando un lanzamiento exitoso del SLS desde la plataforma de lanzamiento 39B del Centro Espacial Kennedy de la NASA. Verdaderamente un lanzamiento espectacular. Hemos sentido las vibraciones en nuestro edificio desde donde estamos transmitiendo para todos ustedes. Esto es una demostración impresionante de ingeniería, fuerza y propósito. En estos momentos los motores RC-25 estarán reduciendo un poco su empuje. Esto es una maniobra intencional para disminuir el estrés aerodinámico mientras la nave se acerca a Max Q. Max Q es el punto en la trayectoria donde el cohete va a experimentar la mayor presión dinámica en su estructura. Al bajar un poco la potencia, el cohete atraviesa esta zona crítica con mayor seguridad. Y los motores están aumentando su fuerza de nuevo para continuar el ascenso hacia el espacio. Y casi exactamente en este momento, los dos enormes cohetes propulsores sólidos laterales han consumido todo su combustible. Vamos a ver cómo se separan de la etapa central. Allí los tenemos. Van a caer en el Océano Atlántico en unos 4 minutos adicionales.
Integrity, guidance converged, performance nominal, upper stage RCS ready.
Copy all, Stan.
Integrity, SM priming complete.
SM priming complete.
Y el cohete SLS ya ha superado la parte más densa de la atmósfera y las cargas aerodinámicas han disminuido drásticamente. El sistema de escape de lanzamiento se separa del tope del cohete en una maniobra controlada, porque ya no es necesario para proteger a la tripulación. Se aleja del cohete y también va a caer en el océano.
Houston Integrity, good last jettison, great view.
Copy jettison, Team Eco 8+02.
Y en unos momentos también se van a soltar las 3 cubiertas que protegían.
And Houston has you loud and clear on Tidris at the Common Line.
Outstanding, Stan. We have you the same.
Y ahora por primera vez Orion queda expuesta al entorno del espacio. En estos momentos los astronautas deben estar sintiendo que su recorrido en el cohete se vuelve más suave. Las vibraciones disminuyen, el ruido cambia de tono y la aceleración se vuelve más estable. Siguen sintiendo una fuerte presión contra el asiento, pero ya pasó la parte más fuerte del ascenso. A partir de aquí, el vuelo debe sentirse controlado y más suave mientras el cohete gana velocidad hacia el espacio.
Outstanding, Stan. We see the same, and we have a beautiful moonrise. We're headed right at it.
La etapa central continúa operando con eficiencia máxima. Los tanques de propelente se están vaciando rápidamente.
Integrity, 3 engine press.
Mientras el vehículo asciende, la masa del cohete va disminuyendo por el consumo del propelente. En este momento, nuestro vehículo va a necesitar solo 3 de los 4 motores. Las computadoras de control están programadas para apagar el 4º motor a propósito. Después que se apaga este motor, entramos en lo que se llama 3 Engine Press, donde se aumenta la presión de la cámara de combustión de los 3 motores que siguen encendidos, manteniendo el empuje requerido.
Integrity, looking good at 6 minutes.
El sistema de control va ajustando el empuje para mantener una carga estructural segura en el vehículo y también para mantener la aceleración dentro de un límite cómodo para los astronautas.
Integrity, expect nominal shutdown.
Integrity copies, nominal shutdown.
Bueno, y comienzan los preparativos para lo que conocemos como MICO, Main Engine Cutoff. Es aquí donde se van a apagar los motores RS-25 de la tapa central de manera controlada.
Integrity, AOA open.
AOA open.
Bueno, y tenemos MICO. La tapa central ha cumplido su función y en estos momentos la tapa superior se desprende del enorme tanque anaranjado y va a estar tomando el control para la siguiente maniobra orbital. En este punto la tripulación ya está oficialmente en el espacio. Bueno, y hasta aquí llegan mis comentarios. En unos momentos esperamos que la etapa superior se encienda un par de veces para ajustarse a su órbita correcta. Con Artemis II, la humanidad vuelve a extender su mirada hacia la Luna con propósito y determinación. Hoy hemos presenciado un momento que va a definir una nueva era. Y ha sido un verdadero honor compartirlo con ustedes. Bueno, que esta misión nos recuerde que el futuro nos espera, se construye. Y a los astronautas les deseamos un viaje seguro. Gracias por recordarnos que la humanidad avanza cuando alguien se atreve a dar el siguiente paso. Adelante, Artemis II, siempre adelante. Regresamos con ustedes, Noelia y Luis.
Muchísimas gracias, Hamilton, por traernos la narración de este momento tan espectacular que acabamos de presenciar en persona. Luis, ¿cómo te sientes?
No tengo palabras, tengo una emoción tremenda, tengo un nudo en la garganta, mi piel chinita. No, un día increíble, inolvidable.
Obviamente las imágenes son espectaculares, pero verlo en persona es realmente una experiencia sensorial porque se ilumina el cielo de tal manera y el sonido que se escucha, la vibración del suelo es impresionante y más aún saber que allá arriba están los 4 astronautas amigos, sí, en la nave espacial Orion que tanto trabajo le has puesto, sí, Luis.
Increíble, increíble. No tengo otras palabras más que decirte eso. O sea, no puedo creer que estamos en este día. Llegó por fin. Fue muchos trabajos, muchos días y horas en el equipo por todos lados del mundo, con partes y sistemas que vienen de otros países. Y aquí está todo funcionando bien hasta ahorita.
Se te están por caer las lágrimas, ya lo veo.
Un poquito.
Honestamente, vivirlo aquí además es como una experiencia colectiva realmente, porque la gente se reúne alrededor del reloj de la cuenta regresiva, donde se ve perfectamente el cohete a punto de despegar. Se escuchan gritos, la gente se abraza, llora, filma, obviamente saca sus fotos, pero es realmente un momento inolvidable.
Increíble.
Y lo cierto es que el lanzamiento de hoy pasará a los libros de historia e inspirará a muchas generaciones futuras. Luis, por favor, danos ahora un repaso de lo que va a suceder ahora.
Mira, un repaso general será que vamos a estar 24 horas en una órbita cerca de la Tierra. Vamos a verificar todo el funcionamiento de los sistemas que son requeridos para la función de la nave y que nuestros astronautas estén bien. A las 24 horas vamos a encender el motor que tenemos aquí abajo. Y ese es la inyección lunar que nos va a mandar directamente a la Luna. Son 4 días para llegar allí. Ya va a ser el sobrevuelo por la parte trasera de la Luna, el lugar lejano de la Luna, donde vamos a poner ojos humanos por primera vez de ese lado de la Luna. Y como dijimos hace rato, la Luna se va a ver más o menos como del tamaño de un baloncesto estirado en un brazo. Y va a haber muchos estudios de nuestros astronautas que han trabajado con geólogos, traer su información, y sería otros 3 días y medio, 4 días de regreso, y el reingreso sería el amerizaje en las costas del Pacífico, cerca de San Diego, y ahí estaré yo con un privilegio de estar viendo esa nave aterrizar y empezar a trabajar con ella después del lanzamiento y después de esta misión. Increíble.
O sea, que por el momento se quedan relativamente cerquita de la Tierra por ahora.
24 horas más o menos, sí.
Muy bien. Artemis II marca el regreso de la humanidad a la órbita lunar en más de 50 años y es un paso crucial en nuestro objetivo de sentar una presencia permanente y sostenible en la Luna para llegar con astronautas a Marte en el futuro. Le deseamos lo mejor en este vuelo espacial a la tripulación. Reed Wiseman, Victor Glover, Christina Cook y Jeremy Hansen vamos a estar esperando con ansias las imágenes que nos envíen desde las cercanías de la Luna. Luis, ¿qué es lo que más te entusiasma a ti en este momento?
Mira, he tenido una imagen ya por 2 años, imaginándome a Reed, Christina, Victor y Jeremy viendo por la ventana cuando están alrededor de la Luna con unas sonrisas muy grandes, tomando muchas imágenes y fotos. Pero la verdad, esto lo que me entusiasma más es que metas como estas, que son grandes, llegan a equipos a trabajar juntos y a hacer grandes hazañas, y ojalá que estos eventos inspiren a niños y niñas en un futuro a convertirse en astronautas, ingenieros, físicos, geólogos, porque ellos son la siguiente generación que necesitamos para seguir explorando el espacio.
Muy bien, así que a los niños y niñas que nos estén mirando, un mensaje muy importante de Luis. Y esto concluye nuestra cobertura de lanzamiento en español de la misión Artemis II. La cobertura sigue en inglés en nuestra aplicación NASA Plus. Para seguir las principales actualizaciones en español sobre la misión, pueden ingresar a nuestra web ciencia.nasa.gov y seguir nuestras cuentas de NASA en español en Facebook, Instagram, YouTube y X. Además, los invito a suscribirse a nuestro boletín semanal en nasa.gov/suscríbete. Y por último, pueden explorar la temporada más reciente de nuestro podcast en español, Universo Curioso de la NASA, donde ahondamos en varios temas relacionados a este regreso histórico a la Luna y nuestro objetivo de llegar más adelante al planeta rojo. Quiero agradecer enormemente al ingeniero de la NASA, Luis Saucedo, y a nuestro comentarista Hamilton Fernández por haber estado con nosotros hoy. A todos ustedes, muchas gracias por acompañarnos esta noche. Hasta la próxima y vamos Artemis.
Estamos ahora dando el gran paso de la humanidad fuera de la Tierra.
Sepan que no viajan solos, viajan con todo el trabajo y la confianza y los sueños de miles de personas que creen en esta misión y en ustedes.
Deseamos expresar nuestro agradecimiento y hacerles saber que no van solos.
Gracias por representar a la humanidad en una misión tan importante y por llevarnos otro paso más cerca de la Luna. Dale, Artemis.
De parte de todos en el laboratorio de fotografía, les deseamos una misión exitosa y que toman muchas fotos.
De sus colegas en JPL de Pasadena, California, vamos Artemis.
Buena suerte y vaya con Dios.
Les deseamos un viaje seguro y los vemos cuando regresan.
De parte mía y de todo dominicano en USA, la República Dominicana y el mundo entero, queremos desearle un buen viaje, seguro, productivo y lleno de diversión. Son una inspiración, ya tú sabes, dale Artemis.
Y les queremos desear un exitoso viaje a la Luna. Ad Astra.
Buena suerte. A la Luna y más allá, somos Artemis.
Que tengan un viaje seguro y lleno de descubrimientos. Vamos, Artemis.
Estamos muy orgullosos de todo lo que han hecho y de que nos representan y representan todo el esfuerzo de nuestro equipo. Muchas gracias y buena suerte.
y les deseo un excelente viaje hacia la Luna. ¡Vamos, Artemis!
¡Vamos, Artemis!
Desde el Laboratorio de Campos Eléctricos en Goddard les deseo un buen viaje y mucha suerte.
¡Vamos, Artemis!
Artemis es la prueba que los sueños se alcanzan con trabajo, talento y corazón.
Gracias, equipo. Artemis vuela gracias a ustedes.
Les deseamos una misión exitosa a la Luna. ¡Go Artemis!
Aquí en NASA Langley Research Center estamos muy orgullosos que nuestras contribuciones sean parte del exitoso lanzamiento de la misión Artemis.
Hola, Grupo Artemis. Les mando un gran saludo y agradecerles por la buena energía que transmiten, el compromiso y el gran trabajo que hacen. Un abrazo, seguimos sumando y nos vemos en lo que viene.
Bien viaje, con todo sale bien Artemis 2.
Buen viaje del equipo de Artemis desde JPL.
De parte del equipo de Mission Integration and Test de Peraton, les deseamos mucho éxito en la misión. ¡Vamos, Artemis!
Desde la ciudad de Nueva York, les deseamos mucho éxito. ¡Vamos, Artemis!
Vamos a la Luna Integrity, vamos Artemis 2.
Les deseamos un viaje seguro y exitoso.
Vamos NASA, vamos la humanidad, vamos todos juntos, vamos Artemis.
Que tengan bien viaje, valientes astronautas.
Sabemos que su misión va a ser un total éxito.
Y que disfruten la mejor pista de nuestro universo, la Luna. ¡Vamos, Artemis!
Nuestros titulares.
Concluyó la fecha FIFA con 2 empates para México ante Portugal y Bélgica. ¿Cuáles son las conclusiones? En los repechajes, Chequia será el tercer rival de México, al tiempo que Italia queda fuera por tercera ocasión consecutiva. Polémica por cánticos racistas durante el partido amistoso entre España y Egipto. Oficialmente, América regresa al Coloso de Santa Úrsula este mismo mes. Todo esto y más en Claro Sports, en W Radio.
¿Cómo les va? Qué gusto saludarlos. Muy buenas tardes. Bienvenidos a Claro Sports por W Radio. Es miércoles 1 de abril. Arrancamos un nuevo mes. Son las 3 de la tarde con 1 minuto. Y cada que pues, pasamos de mes en mes, pues junio se ve cada vez más cerca. La Copa del Mundo se ve cada vez más cerca. Le quedan 3 pruebas a Javier Aguirre. Una de ellas antes de que entregue la lista final. Es decir, hay un último examen para los seleccionados mexicanos de subirse o de bajarse a la Copa del Mundo. 2 empates, no hubo victorias, tampoco hubo derrotas. Analizaremos partido por partido y concluiremos pues qué tan tranquilos nos deja la selección mexicana de Javier Aguirre después de estos 2 enfrentamientos. Los más esperados porque eran las 2 selecciones también de mayor nivel que íbamos a enfrentar rumbo a la Copa del Mundo. Ya escuchábamos también el tema del Estadio Azteca. En enero lo habíamos actualizado y lo habíamos anticipado aquí. El América estaba ya gestionando y estaba listo para regresar al Estadio Azteca. Serán algunos partidos, importante para las Águilas, más en un momento en el que viven, pues estar de regreso en su casa. Y terrible lo que sucede en España, otra vez el racismo en España. Hablaremos de todo esto y de muchísimo más porque pues mucha selección mexicana, pero estamos entrando ya en la etapa final de la Liga MX, un torneo que será muy atípico, sin seleccionados y que varios equipos tienen la obligación de ser campeones. Capi Beltrán y Javi Sol, qué gusto saludarlos. ¿Cómo están, Capi?
Todo bien, Alex. Un placer acompañarte a ti, a Javi, a toda la gente que nos sigue en Claro Sports por W. Muy buen partido ayer, creo. Sobre todo creo que el primer tiempo de lo mejor que le hemos visto al cuadro de Javier Aguirre. Los 3 cambios que hizo con respecto al partido contra Portugal me parece que marcaron una diferencia importante, ¿no? Orbelín, Quiñones y Jorge Sánchez, que además es el gol, hicieron un buen partido de fútbol y complicaron, ¿no? A Bélgica, que no inició tal vez con su mejor cuadro, cuando metió, digamos, al Arsenal pesado en el segundo tiempo fue mejor el cuadro europeo, pero creo que ayer Javier y